Chapter 227. The two retreated in shock. Even though they did not know Lei Xingfeng's strength, but seeing how Jean Dia treated him so respectfully, they knew that Lei Xingfeng's strength was extremely strong. If this person wanted to kill them, it would be too easy. We don't dare. The two were completely frightened. Lei Xingfeng said, "All right, it's not easy to live. Don't shout and kill all the time. I'm curious. You're just 1,000 Luan master, and you think you're invincible? The higher level a true master, the less likely they would attack." They all knew that once they started fighting, life and death would be at stake. Instead, it was the lower-level practitioners who were more unrestrained. Their fights were more intense. Yao Chuan and Zhu Gan did not want to continue fighting. With a high-level true master like Lei Xingfeng intimidating them, they did not dare to act recklessly. Lei Xingfeng said, "Which power do you belong to here?" Yao Chuan said, "Our place belongs to the no man's land. No one controls it. It's at the border of a few powers, so no one controls it." Lei Xingfeng said, "No wonder. High-level true masters did not come, so you guys took advantage of it. And I understand. If it was a mill-wheel master, any place would be better than here. This place looks good, but it can't withstand any power. At least the mill-wheel master is not willing to take the risk. Hence, you guys will fight for the control of this place." Yao Chuan said, "Yes, only us 1,000 Luan masters will fight for it." He glared at Zhu Gan. Zhu Gan stared back without backing down. He was not afraid of Yao Chuan. Lei Xingfeng laughed and said, "Stop staring. Be careful your eyeballs don't fall out." Jean Dia and the rest laughed. Mad Eagle said, "These two brats are quite interesting. They have a bit of fighting spirit. Not bad, not bad. Ha ha." The two immediately became obedient. Lei Xingfeng said, "Is there any news recently?" And I'm talking about the practitioners. Any news will do. He didn't ask about the conflict between Old Man Thunderstorm and the Immortal Rock sect because he believed that these two people were too weak to come into contact with this level. Lei Xingfeng replied, "There isn't any big news." Yao Chuan explained briefly. Most of them were small matters, such as a brief introduction of the surrounding sects, and some trivial matters that Lei Xingfeng didn't care about. Lei Xingfeng felt a little helpless. He turned his gaze to Yugen and said, "Do you have anything to say?" Yugen wanted to say something, but he didn't know what Lei Xingfeng wanted to know. He could only shake his head and say, "I don't know what to say." Jean Dia advised, "A phone. They are just low-level cultivators. They won't know much about the situation." Lei Xingfeng didn't expect to get any information. He just didn't want to ask. He nodded and said, "Then forget it. Well, what do you two plan to do? Wait for us to leave and continue to kill?" Yao Chuan said, "I don't want to kill either." But he won't agree. He poured a basin of dirty water over them. Yugen stared angrily and said, "This was my territory. You F***king took advantage of my absence and took over this place. Of course I have to take it back." The two started arguing again. Lei Xingfeng covered his forehead and said, "Shut up." The two didn't dare to say a word. They could see that Lei Xingfeng was a little angry. If they continued to argue, they would probably be struck by lightning. Lei Xingfeng said, "Don't argue. You two work together and take over this place. And how about this? You two help me collect fragrant rice, honey, candied fruits, and other food. I will pay with Luan rings." The two were delighted. To be able to serve a high-level sage was a great thing. The two bowed and said, "Yes, Senior." Yugen carefully asked, Senior, what is this Luan ring?" It was his first time hearing about Luan rings. He didn't know how precious this thing was. Mad Eagle explained, "Luan rings, let me explain." Yugen and Yao Chuan listened carefully. Mad Eagle said. You two are now Thousand Luan Masters. If you want to advance to Wan Luan Shi, you will need a lot of time. If you use Luan rings to help you, not only will the time be greatly shortened, you won't have any bottlenecks and can advance quickly. The two couldn't help but open their mouths. Yugen even started drooling. Mad Eagle continued. Especially for low-level practitioners, Luan rings are very effective. For example, right now, one Luan ring can increase your power by a lot. If you have accumulated a lot, you can advance to Wan Luan Shi with just one Luan ring. Hee hee. Jean Daya added, if you have a lot of Luan rings, it's not impossible to advance to one true ring body. When this piece of cake was thrown out, the two of them immediately became dizzy. In their entire lives, they had never thought that they would be able to cultivate to the level of a Taoist master. At most, their dream was to become a Milun master in this life. Their eyes were red. If they didn't grab this opportunity, they would go crazy. As for conquering the town, it wasn't even worth mentioning. Jean Daya casually took out 2 Luan rings. He could have as many as he wanted because a 9th ring sage could make countless Luan rings. He said, try it yourself and see the effect. Lei Xingfeng said, sit down and cultivate. Hold the Luan rings in your hands. The two sat down nervously and began to cultivate. Instantly, they felt the change. The Luan rings in their hands started to pour large amounts of Lunli into their bodies. Although they were 1,000 Luan masters, their accumulated Lunli had reached 8 to 9,000. When the Luan rings in their hands started to pour in pure Lunli, their Lunli increased rapidly. This was completely different from their own cultivation. Normally, each time they trained, they would at most gain a few Lunli, and, at most, it would only be a dozen Lunli. But with the Luan ring, their Lunli would increase by hundreds. In just a short moment, the two of them had both surpassed 1,000 Luan Master and directly advanced to 10,000 Luan Master. When the training ended, their Lunli had actually doubled, reaching 16,000 Lunli, and the Luan ring had only shrunk by half. After the two of them finished cultivating, they sat on the ground in a daze, completely shocked. Lei Xingfeng shook his head and said, this talent is too weak, at least half of it is wasted. Jean Daya said, yes, at most they can reach 6th ring body. They won't be able to improve any further. Mad Eagle said, this is not bad. I've seen a cultivator before. His talent is the worst. He used countless Luan rings and forcefully reached 1st ring body. After that, he couldn't advance any further. He couldn't use Luan rings to increase his cultivation. The two of them still have hopes of advancing to 6th ring body. It's just that with the same Luan and Luan rings, if they have better talent, they can save a lot. Lei Xingfeng said, to be able to advance to sage is already not bad. We'll leave a mark here. Yes, Uncle Ing, these two will be your subordinates. Zhu Gan and Yao Chuan weren't stupid. They understood what Lei Xingfeng and the others were saying. Their eyes shone with excitement. To be able to advance to sage, this kind of temptation was irresistible to any cultivator. Mad Eagle said, all right, I'll do it. Actually, he felt that the two's talent was too low. But since Lei Xingfeng said so, he agreed. Anyway, it didn't take much time and effort. It was just leaving a contact point in Hui Continent. Jean Daya laughed. Seems like a phone really likes the fragrant rice here. Hee hee. Lei Xingfeng laughed. I won't hide it from you. I've been to so many places, but I've never eaten such delicious rice. He had this thought in his heart, adding in his previous life, he had never eaten such fragrant rice. The taste was too good. Mad Eagle said, the two of you will be my subordinates from now on. You have any objections? Yao Chuan and Zhu Gan immediately bowed. They would be idiots if they didn't agree. This kind of good thing was not something that could be easily encountered. Mad Eagle said. All right, since you don't have any objections, then listen to my orders from now on. Remember, my first order is to collect fragrant rice, candied fruits, honey, and dried fruits. Also, pay attention to the information of the surrounding sections. Find more subordinates. There will be people coming to contact you in the future. The two of them replied respectfully, Yes, master. Mad Eagle said again, Here are 10 Lewin rings. It should be enough for the two of you to become mill wheel masters. When you become mill wheel masters, there will be people coming to deliver a new batch of Lewin rings. Yao Chuan and Zhugan each had 5 Lewin rings. Their hands were trembling. They didn't want to think about becoming enlightened masters for now, but to become Wan Lewin Shi from 1,000 Lewin master in such a short amount of time. According to their own estimates, with 5 Lewin rings, they could definitely become mill wheel masters in half a year or even less. The condition for becoming a mill wheel master was to increase the Lunli in their body from 10,000 to 100,000. With the help of 5 Lewin rings, becoming a mill wheel master wouldn't be difficult. Lei Xingfeng said, We'll be leaving soon. The two of you go and prepare food like fragrant rice. I'll be taking a batch with me. There will be people coming to get it later. Mad Eagle took out a bag of golden rings and said, I reckon that the two of you are also poor. This bag of golden rings is for you to buy. The two of them really didn't have much money. 1,000 Lewin masters didn't have a high status. They could only be kings in the countryside. If they went to a slightly bigger place, they would be beaten up. So it was normal for them to be poor. After getting the golden rings, the two of them let out a sigh of relief. If not, they would really become tyrants. If they didn't have money, then they would have to rob. Lei Xingfeng said, All right, you two can go. The two of them then left to buy various kinds of food. Lei Xingfeng said, I wonder if we managed to shake off Immortal Rock Sect's pursuit. Jean Dia said, It's very difficult. Chapter 228. Lei Xingfeng said, I know, it's hard for them to track us, but we can't use Lewin points. They will find us sooner or later, unless we hide in the forest and don't come out. That's impossible. Jean Dia was experienced and knowledgeable. He laughed. You don't have to worry at all. We're not weak, low-level practitioners. The 4 of us are all high-level true masters. Do you think that if they find us, the experts of the Immortal Rock Sect will gather together? Lei Xingfeng suddenly understood. He laughed. So that's how it is. If they want to find us, they have to split up. If there are few people, we'll kill them. If there are many, we'll run, Mad Eagle said. Impossible. If there are many people, how can they find us? We're running around randomly. Lei Xingfeng laughed. Actually, even he didn't know where to go next. They were really running around randomly. Jean Dia said, This place should be outside of the Immortal Rock Sect. I think that if they want to find us, it'll be hard for them to find us here. Even if they find us, we'll have already left. Lei Xingfeng said, Uncle Ling, let Yao Chuan and Zhugan hurry up and get as much as they can. We'll leave this place when it's dark. Also, let them bring their subordinates and hide in the mountains for 10 days to avoid exposing our whereabouts. Mad Eagle said, Okay, I'll go tell them. Otherwise, they'll be caught without knowing what's going on. Since they're following us, we have to ensure their safety. Jean Dia said, I don't know if it's a good thing or a bad thing for those two to follow us. Tiger Love said, If I were them, I definitely wouldn't give up such an opportunity. It's too rare. Yao Chuan and Zhugan moved quickly. They gathered about 20,000 kilograms of rice, 200 kilograms of honey, 300 kilograms of candied fruits, and 800 kilograms of dried fruits. There were also some dried shrimps and fish. Yugen said, Time is too tight. We can only find so much. If we had 3 days, We could have collected even more. Lei Xingfeng said, "That's enough. Collect this much for now. Someone will come and find you in the future. Hee, as long as you guys stay here, I will send someone to collect it every year." Zhu Gan and Yao Chuan nodded in agreement. Lei Xingfeng put away the food and said, "We're about to leave. You two take your men and hide in the forest for 10 days. Yes, if you see any of our men, take them away to hide so that you don't get killed." Yao Chuan and Zhu Gan were sweating profusely. They couldn't afford to provoke Lei Xingfeng's enemies. The two of them agreed and immediately went out to find people and prepare food. There was nothing to be afraid of in the forest for 10 days, but they had to have enough food. Seeing the two of them leave, Lei Xingfeng said, "Let's go too." Unfortunately, we didn't get any news. Jean Dia said, "The other side has a monarch. We can't deal with them. It's better to leave this place as soon as possible." Lei Xingfeng said, "If their monarch dares to make a move, I will immediately inform the patriarch." Jean Dia said, "That would be a big problem." Lei Xingfeng sneered, "You can't blame us. The other side didn't follow the rules. Humph. Do they think we're soft mud? That they can crush us whenever they want?" The four of them flew up and quickly flew into the distance. On the fourth day, more than 10 cultivators came to Riverbend town. They were all low-level cultivators from the Immortal Rock sect. The highest-level cultivator was only a mill wheel master. They were specially sent by the Immortal Rock sect to gather information, hoping to find traces of Lei Xingfeng and the others. What disappointed them was that there were no cultivators in Riverbend town. Therefore, they didn't get anything. They didn't know how to communicate with normal people, and they couldn't communicate with them. 12 days later, Zhu Gan and Yao Chuan brought people back to Riverbend town. From then on, this place became Lei Xingfeng's contact point. Mad Eagle was in charge of it. Of course, Mad Eagle wouldn't come personally. He would send other guards. One must know that Lei Xingfeng had a lot of guards, and their ranks were quite high. They were all true masters. Lei Xingfeng also gradually understood that to strengthen his own power, he didn't just need to be strong himself. He also needed a group of people to form a force. This could also help him become strong. The Immortal Rock sect didn't scatter their high-level true masters. They also understood that once they scattered, even if they caught up to Lei Xingfeng's group, they wouldn't be able to do anything. They might even lose some of their men. Therefore, they gathered a large number of low-level disciples and searched in all directions. As long as they found any clues, they would immediately chase after them. After Lei Xingfeng's group left Riverbend town, they continued to follow the Chuan River. However, after flying for 2 days, the four of them stopped at the foot of a mountain. This place was densely covered with forests, and the river was as dense as a spider web. It was a good place to hide. They stopped at the mouth of a river. There was a shoal here with countless tall and dense trees. The shade of the trees even covered more than half of the river. On the shoal, there was also a reed bank. Jean Dia flew into the reed bank and quickly came out with 6 or 7 wild ducks. He also found a few nests of wild duck eggs. He smiled and said, "These wild ducks should be good." Mad Eagle smiled and said, "These wild ducks aren't enough. I'll go hunt and find some wild beasts with more meat." With their strength, no wild beasts could escape. In just a few minutes, Mad Eagle came back with a deer. He said, "This stupid deer just stopped by the river. It's just right for us to eat." Skinning, cutting, and washing were all done by Tiger Love. Lei Xingfeng set up a copper pot at the side, took out a pile of oil wood, and started to burn it. The good thing about oil wood was that it didn't smoke and would ignite immediately. Moreover, oil wood was very resistant to burning. 1 piece of oil wood could be burned for more than an hour. It was the best fuel for a picnic. When the water boiled, large pieces of deer meat were thrown into the copper pot. Jean Daya had already removed the wild duck's skin, feathers, innards, head, and tail. He also chopped off the claws and threw them away. Then he threw the rest of the duck body into the copper pot and said with a smile, "Wild duck stew with deer meat. I wonder how it tastes." Lei Xingfeng closed the copper pot and smiled. "Who cares how it tastes, as long as it's edible?" Jean Daya squatted beside the copper pot. This copper pot was huge, about the size of a small water tank. If it wasn't for the hidden Luin space, they wouldn't have been able to carry this thing around. This copper pot could hold a deer's meat and 6 or 7 wild ducks together. There was also enough water. Even if Lei Xingfeng and the other 3 had an amazing appetite, this pot was enough to eat. Mad Eagle picked up a bunch of wild mushrooms from somewhere and threw them into the pot after washing them by the river. Lei Xingfeng added some dried bamboo shoots and vegetables to the pot to absorb the oil. After cooking for 2 hours, the sky was completely dark. The pot of meat was finally cooked. Everyone took out their own food bowls and started to eat. The 4 of them chatted as they ate. Lei Xingfeng said, "Let's rest for the night and continue tomorrow. I think we should be able to find the Luin spot in a few days." Jean Daya smiled. "Yeah, I don't know how far we've flown these past 2 days. There doesn't seem to be anyone here." Mad Eagle held a large bone without a care for his image. His face was almost buried in the meat as he took big bites. He ate until his face was covered in oil. He said, "There really isn't anyone here. There are a lot of animals here, and they aren't afraid of humans. This area is densely covered with water. It's too difficult to live here." Lei Xingfeng was a little curious. He said, "In the beginning, we could see villages and small towns often. Later on, it became rare. On the last day, we didn't see anyone at all. Until we entered this forest, we didn't know where this place was." Tiger Love said, "It's best if there's no one here. It'll be troublesome if there's someone here." Jean Dyer agreed. "Yeah, it's best if there's no one here. If someone sees us, they'll leave a trail. If we keep going, we'll definitely see people." With the help of the burning oil wood, Lei Xingfeng scooped up a wild duck from the copper pot. He tore off a duck leg and took a bite. He couldn't help but praise, "This duck is not bad. It's very fragrant, hee." Jean Daya said, "It'll definitely be delicious if it's cooked like this." It feels a little stuffy." He looked up at the sky and said, "It looks like it's going to rain." Lei Xingfeng threw away the bone in his hand and said, "It's going to rain, rain." He suddenly jumped up and looked up at the sky. Sure enough, there wasn't even a speck of starlight in the sky. He suddenly became excited. After being out for so many days, he hadn't seen any rain. He didn't expect to see it here. He secretly prayed, "Holy *T. I hope it's going to be a thunderstorm. Then I'll be able to train properly." Mad Eagle and Tiger Love knew that Lei Xingfeng liked to train in a thunderstorm. Mad Eagle said, "Do you want to train?" Lei Xingfeng nodded. "That's right. I'm just waiting for it to rain." Jean Daya nodded. "That's good. Afong, you can put away the copper pot." Lei Xingfeng grabbed the copper pot and poured the remaining soup and meat into the river. He casually washed it and put it into his hidden Luin space. He said, "You guys find a place to hide from the rain." I'll wait here." Jean Daya said, "This is the riverside. Let's find a higher place and set up the tent. The terrain here is too low. Once it rains, we'll probably be submerged." Lei Xingfeng nodded. "Okay, let's go that way. There's a small hill over there. Let's fly up." The 4 put out the fire and flew up the hill. Although the sky was dark, their eyesight was different from ordinary people. Even in such a dark place, they could still see many things clearly. In a few breaths, the four of them flew to the top of the hill. It was still full of tall trees. Jean Dia took out the tent and started to set it up. In less than half an hour, a cold wind blew through the forest. The trees shook violently and made a rustling sound. Suddenly, there was a flash of light in front of them, followed by the sound of thunder. Lei Xingfeng suddenly became excited. Chapter 229. Lei Xingfeng had been waiting for rain and thunder for a long time. Unfortunately, this place wasn't like his previous world. There was no weather forecast, so it was impossible to know where it would rain. In fact, just rain wasn't enough. He needed a thunderstorm without lightning and thunder. If it was just rain, it wouldn't be helpful for his cultivation. Therefore, when he felt the dull weather and the faint sound of thunder, Lei Xingfeng couldn't sit still. He needed to shoot his Lei Yin into the clouds and let the lightning temper it, just like what Elder Thunderstorm did. It was said that there were countless benefits, but he had never tried it before. Tempering Lei Yin was very important. Elder Thunderstorm had told Lei Xingfeng before. However, Lei Xingfeng's level was too low at that time, so he could only remember it in his head. Now, he was already a seventh ring sage. Moreover, Lei Yin wasn't an ordinary Lei Yin. It was refined using ancient methods and materials. In the end, it directly devoured the Lei Yin given by Elder Thunderstorm. It even swallowed a ball of lightning liquid. If it was tempered with lightning, even Lei Xingfeng didn't know what the consequences would be. Lei Xingfeng also knew that when Elder Thunderstorm threw Lei Yin into the clouds, his strength rapidly increased. As for how much, Elder Thunderstorm didn't say. However, Lei Xingfeng wasn't stupid. He could see Elder Thunderstorm's satisfied expression, and even a little overjoyed. He knew that Elder Thunderstorm had gained a lot. This made him very excited to see how his own experimental cultivation would turn out. Jean Dia and the others didn't have a good impression of lightning. If they weren't careful, they could really die. They set up a tent under a few trees and hid inside. Lei Xingfeng hesitated for a moment, but didn't say anything. Firstly, they weren't ordinary people. Even if they were struck by lightning, they had the ability to resist it. Secondly, he saw that the tree they chose wasn't the tallest one. Generally speaking, whoever was in the highest position would be the easiest to be struck by lightning. Lei Xingfeng leaped up. He didn't plan to wait for the lightning to come. He wanted to go to the place where the lightning was most concentrated. The rainstorm area wasn't where Lei Xingfeng originally stayed. It was about 30 kilometers away. With Lei Xingfeng's speed, it would only take a few minutes. At first, it was drizzling, but when Lei Xingfeng entered the rainstorm area, the raindrops became denser. The rain poured down. Xianfeng, on the other hand, was extremely excited because he saw the rolling dark clouds in the sky and countless lightning bolts appearing, the sound of thunder shaking his heart. Due to the lightning's fast speed, every time he saw a flash of silver light, a huge lightning bolt would fall from the sky like a silver snake twisting and slashing down, followed by the sound of thunder that shook the earth. Crack! Boom! Lei Xingfeng was of the lightning attribute. He was a lightning arrestor that attracted lightning. All the lightning started to become unstable. When Lei Xingfeng got close, lightning was already coming for him. Lei Yin instantly flew out of his body and faced the twisting lightning. Lei Xingfeng instantly felt the Yin force in his body grow rapidly. It was like a dam bursting. Lei Xingfeng's cultivation was pushed to the peak of 7 ring. He was just a step away from 8 ring. Lei Yin was crazily absorbing the lightning's energy. Lei Yin's entire body started to transform. To Lei Yin? One real and one fake. To Lei Yin. Lei Xingfeng was extremely shocked. The Lei Yin in his body was still there. Then the Lei Yin that flew out was actually a projection. Lei Xingfeng was still confused. A huge lightning bolt struck Lei Yin, who was flying into the clouds. A blinding halo suddenly spread. This time, it didn't make any sound. The huge lightning bolt disappeared into Lei Yin. At this time, Lei Xingfeng discovered that the Lei Yin in his body had a slight change. The majority of the lightning serum that had been absorbed had grown. At the same time, a large amount of Lei Yin's energy was produced. He felt full. Lei Yin's energy quickly circulated in his body. His cultivation was still rising rapidly. He felt that he was about to break through. When the second lightning bolt struck Lei Yin, Lei Xingfeng couldn't control himself at all. He directly broke through to 8 ring true body. In an instant, an illusory Lei Xingfeng appeared behind him. Countless lightning bolts flashed. At first, the shadow was a bit illusory, but it was quickly filled by Lei Yin's energy. In a few seconds, a solid lightning human figure appeared. Lei Xingfeng whistled. The illusory figure immediately disappeared into Lei Xingfeng's body. He instantly broke through to 8 ring true body. The lightning gradually concentrated on Lei Yin. Bolt after bolt of lightning struck Lei Yin. Lei Xingfeng finally understood what it meant to be struck by lightning. He also finally understood why the old man Thunderstorm could recover so quickly and raise his cultivation to an unimaginable level. The lightning serum in Lei Yin's body was growing bit by bit. Every bolt of lightning could increase the lightning serum by a bit. Lei Xingfeng couldn't help but be secretly shocked. Relying on Lei Yin's body, most of the lightning energy was absorbed and turned into a trace of lightning serum. There was only a small portion left that turned into Lei Yin's energy. There was also a portion that directly dissipated. This was the only way to truly control the danger brought about by the sudden increase in cultivation. If he completely absorbed the lightning energy, Lei Xingfeng estimated that he would explode in just a few bolts of lightning. No wonder the old man Thunderstorm had told him to hide in a corner and only use the lightning to cultivate. This was a completely different concept. Only now could he freely absorb and control the lightning energy of nature. The power of nature's lightning was incomparably strong. If one could absorb and use it, the effects would be unimaginable. Of course, X-ion foam could only absorb less than 1% of the lightning in a thunderstorm, but even so, it was still 100 times more effective than his own training. The two of them could not be mentioned in the same breath. Lei Xingfeng was very satisfied to see that the lightning serum in Lei Yin's body had returned to its original size. Moreover, its quality was even purer than before. The power contained within was even greater. Just as he was very satisfied, the lightning in the sky suddenly began to decrease. In less than a minute, it actually completely disappeared. Lei Xingfeng hovered in midair and couldn't help but curse. Even if it continued for another 10 minutes, Lei Xingfeng would be able to detect the changes in Lei Yin's body. Perhaps it could grow to be larger than the original lightning serum? He had no way of guessing. After cursing a few times, he also knew that it was useless. Right now, his strength was almost at the level of ninth ring. Of course, in this state, he definitely couldn't advance. He needed to cleanse the Lei Yin's power in his body again. Lei Yin's body in the sky suddenly flickered and disappeared into the clouds. Lei Xingfeng knew that the two had merged again. The entire Lei Yin seemed to have grown larger. Right now, the Lei Yin's power in his body was incomparably violent. Lei Xingfeng needed to cleanse it bit by bit. He needed a period of time to consolidate and adapt. Lei Xingfeng quickly landed on a huge tree and found a larger tree hole. He immediately hid inside and began to cultivate. At this time, he couldn't go back immediately. He had to assimilate the Lei Yin's power that entered his body as soon as possible and make it more suitable for him. After all, the Lei Yin's power that was converted from lightning was different from the Lei Yin's power that he cultivated. This Lei Yin's power had to be merged with his body. This was the most important thing. Xian Feng's way of training was a very different way of training. It was like he originally had a 100-man army, but after a battle, he captured 200 men. He had to turn these 200 men into his own army. Only then would he be able to complete his mission of strengthening himself. The rain was still pouring down. Lei Xingfeng sat in the tree hole and revolved the Lei Yin's power over and over again. Every time he revolved, he would convert a batch of Lei Yin's power. Gradually, the rain stopped and the night quietly passed. Early in the morning, a clear bird's cry could be heard. The sound of water dripping could be heard in the tree hole. Lei Xingfeng opened his eyes. A foot-long silver lightning shot out from his eyes. After it flickered in front of his eyes a few times, it suddenly retracted back into his eyes. Lei Xingfeng only felt refreshed. Lei Yin's power flowed through his body like rolling balls. Lei Xingfeng suddenly slapped his thigh and said in annoyance, "Damn it! I should have used the chaos wheel and let the lightning cleanse it. Damn it, I actually forgot about it completely. It was not easy to encounter a thunderstorm." He did not know when he would encounter it again in the future. With a long sigh, he leaped into the air. After identifying the direction, he immediately flew towards the place where he was yesterday. Jean Dia, Mad Eagle, and Tiger Love had already put away their tents. Mad Eagle said, "A Feng left yesterday. I wonder when he will be back." Jean Dia said, "Don't worry. With his strength, there is no danger at all. There are no cultivators here." Mad Eagle said, "I'm not worried. I know a Feng went to cultivate. Tiger, what do you think is the result of a Feng's cultivation this time?" Tiger Love smiled and said, "In this kind of weather, his cultivation must be similar to flying." Jean Dia was a little confused and asked, "What do you mean?" Mad Eagle suddenly laughed and said, "A Feng is back." "Ha! As expected, a Feng is a monster." Jean Dia was even more confused. "What are you talking about?" He looked at Lei Xingfeng and was immediately stunned. He realized that Lei Xingfeng had reached 8th ring. Only now did he understand Mad Eagle's words. Lei Xingfeng was a monster. In just one night of cultivation, he had advanced. Tiger Love giggled and said, "I was right." Jean Dia shook his head. He thought for a while and did not give up. He said, "A Feng, you didn't use the Yin ring to cultivate, did you?" Lei Xingfeng said, "Cultivate with the Yin ring? Haha, I've never used it. Master said that I don't need it. Plus, the consequences of using it are not good. I will be completely stuck at 9th ring sage. It will be very difficult to advance in the future." Jean Dia, Mad Eagle, and Tiger Love were speechless. They all used the Yin ring to cultivate. Without it, There was no way they could reach ninth ring. Chapter 230. Gene Dia was full of praises. He couldn't imagine how such a speed of advancement could be achieved. He said, how did you advance so quickly? Lei Xingfeng smiled and said, I'm of the thunder attribute. The thunderstorm last night gave me a chance. Gene Dia said, so thunderstorm can increase your cultivation speed. Actually, he still didn't understand how Lei Xingfeng could cultivate so quickly in a thunderstorm. This was already a different kind of cultivation method. Lei Xingfeng didn't hide anything. He smiled and said, that's why I wanted to look for thunderstorm weather. Unfortunately, it can only be encountered by coincidence. It's almost impossible to find it if I specifically look for it. Even if I know where thunderstorm weather is, I won't be able to get there in time. In fact, Lei Xingfeng had already discovered that if there was a thunderstorm for 10 consecutive days, it wouldn't help him as much as he imagined. Generally, it would be fine for the first few days, but he wouldn't be able to digest it in the later days. The best way was to encounter a thunderstorm once every few months. That would be the best way for him to reap the most benefits. However, encountering a thunderstorm once every few months was almost impossible. He couldn't keep running in the wilderness. Even if he was outside, there were all kinds of environments. Some places didn't even have rain. For example, the Great Stone Quarry, where he obtained the sky crystal, was so dry that it might not rain for hundreds of years, let alone a thunderstorm. Lei Xingfeng never thought that thunderstorm weather would be so difficult to encounter. This was also influenced by his previous life. In his previous life, the weather forecast always reported that there would be torrential rain here and there. It felt like there would be torrential rain everywhere. However, in reality, the chances of encountering a thunderstorm in a year were not high. The four of them quickly finished their breakfast, got up, and continued to fly down the Chuan River. Here, large patches of forest separated the river like a fishing net. Fortunately, the four of them were not in the wrong direction, and soon they saw a wide river. They flew along the river, almost brushing against the treetops as they flew. This way, they could avoid being seen from afar. Along the way, they did not find any traces of humans. Lei Xingfeng said, there are too few people in the Hui continent, much fewer than our barbarian gathering continent, and Wanxi continent, especially the normal people. Actually, this place is very suitable for living, at least more suitable than the barbarian gathering continent. Gene Dia said that might not be the case. Places with many cultivators are also more dangerous. Once there is a battle between sects, it will affect ordinary people. How many people do you think will survive? I heard that there are many people living in Hui continent. Mad Eagle said, yes, I've heard of it before. There were many people living in the Hui continent before it gradually withered away. Lei Xingfeng laughed. Cultivators are also scourges. They are worse than wild beasts. Mad Eagle said, it's very normal. In a world, if there are no cultivators, the consequences will be even worse. When cultivators from other worlds rush in, the normal people will be the first to suffer because they are the foundation of us cultivators. Lei Xingfeng was shocked and said, there's such a thing? Gene Dia said, you don't know? Lei Xingfeng said, of course I don't know. No one told me. Gene Dia said, that's how the secret sects were built. To be precise, in ancient times, this was not our world. We were only invaders, but later on, we occupied this place and became the local residents. You should have seen the barbarians in the barbarian gathering continent. They are the local residents. Mad Eagle said, actually, this world is only suitable for humans to live in. It's not very helpful for cultivators. Look at the cultivators in this world. The highest level is only 9th ring. There are almost no true monarchs, and most of the 9th ring experts have been recruited. Even the 6th ring, 8th ring sages have the identity of a secret sect. Even if they are guarding a sect, they don't actually represent their own sect. Lei Xingfeng said, "Have you participated in the battle to conquer the outside world?" Jean Dia suddenly laughed, and he said, "This kind of thing rarely happens. The backlash is too great. It's only possible for this kind of invasion to happen if they find some incredible resources." Mad Eagle said, "It's not that they don't have the strength. It's just that there's no one to organize it. It's just that there are a few scattered secret sects that enter each world. They don't control it. They just look for the resources they need. Generally speaking, this kind of operation won't cause any disputes." Lei Xingfeng said, "If there's a large-scale invasion, what will happen to us secret sect members?" Jean Dia said, "That's hard to say. As long as there's no destructive invasion, the secret sects generally don't want to interfere." Lei Xingfeng said, "What's a destructive invasion?" Jean Dia said, "Killing all living things in sight, plundering all resources that can be taken, and true monarchs act without restraint. This is a destructive invasion. There are even invaders who bring crazy unknown creatures and destroy everything in sight. Yes, but this kind of thing is really rare." Lei Xingfeng's hair stood on end, and he said, "Burn it all, kill it all, and plunder it all." Jean Dia nodded and said, "That's pretty much what it means. Only in this kind of situation would the secret sects be angered and cause a large-scale resistance." Tiger Love looked at the surrounding environment. They were already out of the forest. It was a patch of low shrubs, occasionally a few big trees, and extremely deep grass. They could see all kinds of animals that came to drink water by the river. Most of them were wild water buffaloes, and there were also large herds of elk. There was still no sign of a person or a ship, but Lei Xingfeng found a lot of abandoned villages. Lei Xingfeng said, "People used to live here." Mad Eagle laughed. "Of course, otherwise the forest wouldn't have disappeared. This used to be farmland, a very large area of farmland, but it's all abandoned now." Jean Dia said, "Look, there's an abandoned ship." In the water near the shore, there was a sunken ship, and they could see the rough outline of it. After flying for about a few hundred miles, the four of them finally saw a piece of farmland and also saw faint smoke in the distance. It was a very small village. Mad Eagle asked, "Should we go over?" Lei Xingfeng shook his head. "There's no need. We have enough supplies, so there's no need to disturb the villagers." Mad Eagle laughed. "That's true. It's getting dark. Let's go down." Jean Dia also said, "Yeah, let's go down. It's uncomfortable to keep flying. There are a lot of wild water buffaloes here. I wonder how the meat is. I'll go hunt one and try it." His body suddenly swooped down towards a group of wild water buffaloes. A steel spear suddenly appeared in his hand, and he shot it through the air, instantly piercing through a wild water buffalo. The wild water buffalo ran a few steps and then fell to the ground with a loud bang. The large group of wild water buffaloes was frightened, and they immediately scattered, frantically fleeing into the distance. Jean Dia laughed loudly as he descended from the sky. He pulled out the steel spear and shook it a few times in the river to wash away the blood. Only then did he put it into his hidden Luan space. He said, "Today we'll eat beef." Lei Xingfeng laughed. "Roast beef, it's been a long time since I've had barbecue." In fact, this kind of life was what Lei Xingfeng yearned for the most in his previous life, to travel the world, eat the world, and play the world. Unfortunately, in his previous life, he didn't have the money, so he could only dream about it. In this life, it was completely different. He had the strength to travel everywhere, the strength to go to the most dangerous places, the strength to see the most beautiful scenery, the strength to eat the most unique local food, and also the strength to fight different people. Life had become extremely exciting. Roasting meat was the most common cooking method used by cultivators. Any cultivator was an expert at roasting meat. This method of eating was extremely convenient, so it was favored by almost all cultivators. Every cultivator was equipped with a roasting rack, and there were all kinds of strange ways to roast meat. Lei Xingfeng's method was the barbecue rack from his previous life. It wasn't the kind of rack that rotated to barbecue meat, but a metal grid with charcoal underneath. This kind of barbecue meat needed some dipping sauce to taste good. Taking out the barbecue rack, Lei Xingfeng left behind a lot of charcoal when he went to Hanya Castle last time. This was the perfect time to start a fire and cut the meat. The four of them started to get busy. Jean Dia lit a large bonfire beside the barbecue rack, and the sky gradually darkened. Large pieces of meat were placed on the metal grid, and under the charcoal fire. It let out a sizzling sound. Drops of fat fell on the charcoal fire, making a light crackling sound. Soon, the rich aroma of meat spread out. Lei Xingfeng held a large bowl with prepared dipping sauce and ate the barbecue meat in big mouthfuls. He sighed and said, "If only there was beer. Drinking beer while barbecuing is the most authentic way to eat." Jean Dia asked curiously, "Beer? What kind of wine is it?" Lei Xingfeng bitterly laughed and said, "There's no beer here." Mad Eagle said, "The beer you saw in the outside world, why didn't you collect some?" Lei Xingfeng said in his heart, "It was indeed the outside world. That was my previous life." He said, "I forgot to collect it." "What a pity." Mad Eagle said, "It is indeed a pity." Soon, the four of them ate most of the wild buffalo and threw the rest into the wilderness, causing a group of wild dogs to fight over it, making waves of whimpering sounds. Putting away the barbecue rack, Lei Xingfeng set up a pot of water and said, "I want to cultivate. Who's going to guard me?" Jean Dia said, "I'll take the first half of the night. Old Eagle, you can take the second half." Afong nodded. "Okay, next time, Uncle Tiger, and I will be on guard duty." Lei Xingfeng took out a beast skin cushion, put it on the ground, and sat on it, silently beginning to cultivate. This period of time was an important period of cultivation. Not only did he have to consolidate his eighth ring sage body, but he also had to constantly temper Lei Yin's strength. Lei Xingfeng already felt that his emotions were a little irritable. Fortunately, he was very gentle in his previous life, so he was able to restrain his impulsive emotions in this life. This was also the main reason why he didn't lose control after becoming an eighth ring sage. The night passed uneventfully. In the morning, Lei Xingfeng opened his eyes and stretched in satisfaction. His joints crackled, and his body was constantly jumping with arcs of electricity. He felt like a miniature power plant, and his body was full of energy. This night of cultivation had completely eliminated the hidden danger of his irritable Lei Yin's strength. Chapter 231. Jean Dia asked with concern, "How is it?" Lei Xingfeng smiled. "Very good. I've already stabilized my eighth ring cultivation. Luckily I didn't meet any enemies, or else I wouldn't be able to control myself in a battle." He knew very well that when he just leveled up, his Lei Lunli would be extremely violent. Once he started fighting, although the power would be great, the drawbacks were also huge. He wouldn't be able to control himself at all, and would start killing crazily. This was something he tried his best to avoid. Mad Eagle said, "Afong is indeed powerful to be able to stabilize his cultivation in such a short time." He didn't know that Lei Xingfeng's Lei Yin was different from their seals. They condensed their own seals, but Lei Xingfeng used a special ancient method to create seals. Combined with the Lei Yin that Elder Thunderstorm gave him, it formed a strange Lei Yin. Even if ancient practitioners came, they wouldn't be able to figure it out. This lightning stamp was of great help to Xianfeng, especially after being tempered by nature's lightning. There were even some changes to it. One of the main reasons was that there was a trace of Jiangong lightning liquid within the lightning stamp. This trace of Jiangong lightning liquid had been infused by lightning and had even grown stronger. One must know that Jiangong lightning liquid was an extremely precious treasure to lightning-attributed practitioners. Not only could Lei Gang lightning serum be used to defend against attacks, it could also provide large amounts of Lei Lunli. Its characteristics were much higher than Lei Lunli and could already be compared to a monarch's essence. It was even better than essence. Even Lei Xingfeng himself didn't know this. His understanding of Lei Gang lightning serum was too shallow. Tiger Love said, "Are we still going down the Chuan River?" Lei Xingfeng pondered for a moment and said, "What does everyone think? Should we keep going down the Chuan River? If we keep going like this, we should be able to find a Luan point very quickly." The distribution of the Luan spots was like a spider web. Each Luan spot was an intersection point of the ancient Luan passage. As long as one stepped on a Luan spot and no one disturbed them, they could quickly leave. According to the calculation of the cultivators, there would be a Luan spot every few thousand kilometers. Some places were even denser. This transportation network had been passed down since ancient times. A portion of it had been destroyed, and a portion of it was broken. Thus, some places had many Luan points, while some places had no Luan points. After becoming a true monarch, one would have their own secret door and would no longer need to use the Luan points and ancient Luan passageways. However, the ancient Luan passageways were very convenient, and some true monarchs would still use them. This was the legacy left behind by the ancient cultivators to their descendants. It was unknown how much effort and materials were used to build the ancient Luan passage. It was probably only during that era that there were so many materials and cultivators. Jean Dia said, "Then let's fly along the river. I feel like we'll be able to find the Luan spot soon." Sure enough, not long after, Lei Xingfeng and the rest found the mountain gate of a sect. This should be another cultivation sect. They did not enter the sect, but stayed outside. In the end, they found a few cultivators and immediately flew down from the sky. These were 3 low-level cultivators. The highest was only a mill wheel master. The other 2 were even 100 Luan masters. The 3 of them looked at the 4 true masters that flew down from the sky and were all stunned. After Lei Xingfeng landed, he looked at the mill wheel master. This person was not old, at most 30 years old. He should be an elite disciple of the sect. He asked, "Which sect are you from?" The mill wheel master trembled as he said, "We are disciples of the Iron Tendon sect." "Senior is?" Lei Xingfeng said, "Iron Tendon sect." He had never heard of it before. He knew it was a normal sect and said, "Are there any Luan spots nearby?" The mill wheel master said, "Luan spots?" Yes, Luan spots." He heaved a sigh of relief. So it was an expert that was asking for directions and not looking for trouble. This made him feel a little more relaxed. Lei Xingfeng immediately smiled. With Luan spots, they could quickly leave this place. The monarch gave them too much pressure. Jean Dia said, "Where?" The mill wheel master pointed to the south and said, "It's not far from here, about a day's walk." Lei Xingfeng said, "Lead the way." The mill wheel master did not dare to refuse and said, "Please wait for a moment. I will instruct them." He pointed to 2 pitiful disciples. These 2 were even younger, not even 20 years old. Lei Xingfeng was not a particularly overbearing person. He nodded and said, "And hurry up." The mill wheel master hurriedly called the 2 over and whispered a few words for them to quickly return. He then turned and said, "Okay, I will lead the way." Lei Xingfeng flew off the ground and said, "Uncle Ing, you take him." Mad Eagle grabbed the mill wheel master and flew into the air. The mill wheel master was so scared that his face turned pale. This was the first time in his life that he flew in the air. Lei Xingfeng said, "Let's go." The four of them took the mill wheelmaster and quickly flew into the distance. After a few minutes, they disappeared. The 200 Lewin masters stared at the sky in shock. After a while, the two of them woke up and immediately ran towards the sect. After a few minutes, Lei Xingfeng and the rest had already landed on the ground. This place was very close to the Lewin spot. Lei Xingfeng said to the mill wheel master, "Okay, you can go back now. And here are 2 Lewin rings. Consider it your reward." The mill wheel master was not a wandering practitioner. He was an elite disciple of the sect. Of course, he knew what Lewin rings were. His face was full of surprise. He repeatedly thanked them and happily took the 2 Lewin rings and left. Lei Xingfeng waited until the mill wheel master disappeared into the forest before saying, "I hope there are no people from the Immortal Rock sect guarding this place." Jean Dia laughed. "If there are, it's not a big deal. We can just kill them. I believe this Lewin spot will not be guarded by experts. They can't possibly have so many people." Mad Eagle agreed. "I think so too. They can't possibly have so many experts. If it's just a lone expert, then he's a noob for us to kill." The 4 of them analyzed and felt that there shouldn't be any threat. Only then did they resume their journey. They sped towards the Lewin spot. This time, they did not fly but walked on the ground. The Lewin spot here was on the flat ground. In a forest, when Lei Xingfeng and the rest approached, they immediately found 4 practitioners standing beside the Lewin spot. Lei Xingfeng was shocked. "There's someone." Jean Dia looked through the forest and said, "I don't know if they're from the Immortal Rock sect. There are only 4 of them. Don't worry. Whether they're from the Immortal Rock sect or not, they're not a threat to us." Lei Xingfeng thought for a moment and said, "Regardless of whether they're from the Immortal Rock sect or not, the right choice is to quickly control these 4 people. We'll deal with them one by one. Let's capture them first and try not to cause any trouble." Jean Dia said, "Okay, I'll take care of the one on the outermost side." Mad Eagle said, "I'll take care of the one on the inner left." Tiger Love said, "Then I'll take care of the one on the inner right." Lei Xingfeng said, "Okay, that wandering guy is mine." After the 4 of them discussed and decided, they did not hesitate to take action. The 4 of them rushed out like lightning. In just a few breaths, the 4 of them were caught. They were all low-level practitioners. The highest was only 1,000 Lewin master. Although they easily caught the 4 of them, Lei Xingfeng and the rest did not look good, because the 1,000 Lewin master in the lead dropped a token. That was a Lewin token used to pass messages through the ancient Lewin passage. It was a very ancient thing, but its use was very clear. Before Lei Xingfeng and the rest could activate the Lewin spot, a person suddenly appeared. Lei Xingfeng was flustered and exasperated. He looked at the old man, and his eyes were about to spit fire. Perfected Lord Tang Gu appeared once again. Lei Xingfeng gritted his teeth and said, "Senior, is this how you bully your juniors?" Tang Gu's face slightly reddened. He said, "Little brat, did I bully you? How can I bully my juniors? 8th ring true body. Good brat, in just 10 days you advanced, and even consolidated your cultivation. Amazing!" He saw through Lei Xingfeng's cultivation with one look. He was very surprised. This kind of talent was rare. Lei Xingfeng said, "Do you plan to interfere personally?" In anger, he started to speak impolitely. Tang Gu smiled mischievously. "Even if I interfere personally, what can you do?" Lei Xingfeng said, "Okay, if you want to interfere personally, then you will bear the responsibility of starting a secret sect war." He secretly activated the metal token given by the founder Wu Yang and inserted his Yinli into it. Tang Gu's face suddenly became serious. He said, "Little brat, don't talk nonsense. I didn't do anything. I just watched from the side." He didn't do anything, but the consequences were worse than if he did. He blocked Lei Xingfeng's way back and let his juniors surround him. It was a very shameless move. Lei Xingfeng said, "Let's go." Tangu said, "Go? Where can you go?" Ha ha. He shamelessly blocked the way of the four people. Lei Xingfeng was furious, but he didn't attack. He knew he couldn't attack. If he attacked this old bastard, he would have a reason to fight back. He knew very well that he couldn't block his opponent's attack. True lords and perfected masters were two completely different concepts. The difference between the two could be said to be heaven and earth. It was possible to challenge someone of a higher level. For example, a seventh ring true body could challenge an eighth ring true body or even a ninth ring true body. However, if a ninth ring true body wanted to challenge a true body, there was only one word for it: death. There was no doubt that this was the reason why Lei Xingfeng gritted his teeth but didn't dare to attack. This was a fight to the death. It was better not to fight. Jean Dia, Mad Eagle, and Tiger Love's faces all changed. If a true lord blocked their way, then there was no way they could escape. Chapter 232. When Tangu blocked the way, Lei Xingfeng knew that he couldn't escape this time. Luckily, he was smart. The moment Tangu appeared, he had already used the metal token to inform his ancestor, Wu Yang. However, he didn't know when his ancestor would arrive. This was also the first time he used the metal token to ask for help. Jean Dia said, "Senior, what do you plan to do?" He had no choice. He wasn't as strong as the other, so he couldn't be tough. Jean Dia knew how powerful a monarch was, so he wanted to find a way out. Lei Xingfeng said softly, "Drag it out." Just one word, but Jean Dia and the other two understood. They knew that Lei Xingfeng had already sent out a signal for help. The three of them looked better. As long as the monarch didn't attack immediately, they had a chance to live. Tangu said, "It's nothing. I've always thought that the younger generation's problems should be solved by the younger generation." He reached out and grabbed the four low-level cultivators to his side. He said, "The four of you retreat to the side. Otherwise, you won't be able to seek justice if you die." The four Immortal Rock sect disciples retreated to the side in fear. A battle between true masters and the appearance of a monarch wasn't something they could handle. The four of them scrambled to escape. Tangu watched the four leave casually. He then said, "Don't worry, I won't do anything. Hee, but someone will come." At this time, the Lewin spot flashed and 3 ninth ring true masters came out. Then, another flash and 7 true masters came out. The lowest was a 6th ring true master, and the highest was an 8th ring true master. There were 10 of them. They immediately saw Lei Xingfeng and the other 3 who were blocked outside the Lewin spot, and their faces were filled with excitement. Tangu retreated to the side proudly. He said, "See, I didn't do anything. Naturally, someone will do it. Hee, the younger generation's problems should be solved by the younger generation. This has always been my principle." There was nothing more shameless than this. It was like two sides were fighting, and suddenly someone ran out and hugged one side, desperately saying, don't fight, stop." The other party was desperately beating up the person who was being hugged. Tangu was acting as the person who was trying to mediate the fight, but he was blatantly siding with the other party. These 3 ninth ring sages were the ones who stopped Lei Xingfeng at the Immortal Rock sect. They now clearly knew that Lei Xingfeng was an enemy because these 4 guys killed Buluo and Sun Batong. For this matter, Sun Buru brought a group of people over, but they hadn't arrived yet. Lei Xingfeng stared at the 3 of them and said, "Why is it still you 3 bastards?" Other than being wary of Tangu, Lei Xingfeng and the other 3 weren't afraid of these 10 people. They had 3 ninth ring sages, and Jean Dia and the other 2 were also ninth ring sages. Although Lei Xingfeng had just reached 8th ring, he had the lightning attribute and was best at fighting groups. He could also challenge those above his level. His strength wasn't any weaker than a 9th ring true master. The 3 ninth ring sages were furious when Lei Xingfeng and the others escaped in the Immortal Rock Sect's territory. They were scolded badly by Ancestor Tang Gu. They didn't expect Ancestor Tang Gu to stop these 4 people again. They didn't know that they would be scolded so badly when they returned. In the end, they were called bastards by Lei Xingfeng. Didn't this little guy know how to respect his seniors? Actually, the 3 of them knew that Xian Feng might be the direct disciple of a monarch. Although the 3 of them were ninth ring sages, in terms of status, they weren't even as high as Jean Dia and the others. Even if a ninth ring sage entered a secret sect and followed a direct disciple compared to other ninth ring sages in the secret sect, their status would be vastly different, and their treatment would be even more different. Tang Gu said coldly, "Don't be angry. Finish your mission first. Remember, you can only win, not lose. If you lose and he can't kill you, I'll do it." Just this one sentence was enough to push the 10 of them to the point of risking their lives. Lei Xingfeng was really angry. He gritted his teeth and said, "May I ask for Senior's name?" Tang Gu said, "You don't deserve to know my name." Lei Xingfeng laughed and said, "Haha, you don't dare to tell me your name. You're afraid that I'll ask my elders to find you. Haha, if you don't dare to say it, then don't say that you don't deserve to say it." Tang Gu was so angry that he jumped up. He did have this intention. He didn't want Lei Xingfeng to know his name because he was worried about the elders behind Lei Xingfeng. However, he was forced to this point. He thought that since Lei Xingfeng and the others were going to die, what could they do even if they knew his name? "Kid, listen carefully. Your ancestor's name is Tang Gu." Lei Xingfeng said, "Very good, I'll remember it. Tang Gu, what you gave me today, I'll definitely return it to you." Tang Gu crossed his arms and supported his chin with one hand. He said, "Well, you first have to think of a way to live through today. Hee hee." Lei Xingfeng said, "Not to mention today. Even if it's this year or next, I'll still live well. You might not." Tang Gu was too lazy to argue with a dead person. He said, "Let's wait and see." The 10 perfected masters flew into a rage. However, because Lei Xingfeng was talking to their ancestor, no one dared to interrupt at this time. Each and every one of them had a gloomy face as they stared at Lei Xingfeng and the others. Tang Gu cursed, "You're a bunch of fucking dead people. Are you standing there like corpses? Damn it, a bunch of idiots. I'm curious. Why should I help a bunch of idiots like you? What the fuck are you standing there for? Have you forgotten what you want to do?" The group of people was instantly drowned by Tang Gu's crazy curses. He called them idiots and idiots one after another. The group of people was dejected and did not know what to do. Fortunately, one of the ninth ring sage was smarter. He finally realized that the ancestor wanted them to fight. "Dedu Pai, ninth ring sage, who wants to fight me?" Lei Xingfeng just wanted to test how much his strength had increased after his advancement. Jean Dia had already taken a step forward. He said, "Jean Dia, ninth ring sage, I'll fight you." Tang Gu originally wanted to curse again, but when he saw the 2 of them come out to fight, he stopped. Of course, he knew that once the 2 of them fought, if he cursed, it would affect his own people. The other party would not care. He certainly would not do such a thing. However, he still cursed in his heart, "Idiot, idiot, idiot. You still want to fight alone at this time? Are you crazy? Is your brain broken? Swarming is the way to go. You actually chose the most disadvantageous way. Is there a more stupid choice than this?" Jean Dia passed by Lei Xingfeng and said, Don't worry, leave this person to me. Lei Xingfeng whispered again. Drag it out. Jean Dia was stunned and then nodded. Although he did not understand why Lei Xingfeng wanted to drag it out, he trusted Lei Xingfeng. He originally wanted to end the battle quickly, but he immediately changed to guerrilla warfare to drag it out. When the two of them started fighting, Tengu was dumbfounded. Jean Dia did not fight head-on with the other party at all. Instead, he kept on guerrilla warfare and attacked when the time was right. The two of them circled back and forth in the air at high speed, but they did not make any physical contact. This was especially true for Jean Dia. This guy was extremely experienced in fighting. His sudden attack made Dupai flustered. When he recovered, Jean Dia had already fled to the side. The two of them went back and forth. Soon, half an hour had passed. Tengu endured and endured. Finally, he could not take it anymore and scolded again. Dupai, you're a F** king pig. Idiot, if he dodges, don't you know how to tangle with him? Idiot, you have a lot of people on your side. Why did you hold back? You F** king, end the battle in 10 minutes. If he doesn't die, then you die. Dupai's face turned red. He was not scared. He was angered by Tengu. He was scolded in front of so many people. If Tengu scolded a group of people, it would be fine. But this time, he was scolded directly. He was a 9th rank 9 sage, but he did not dare to disobey. If the elder ancestor really wanted to kill him, he would not be able to do anything. At this point, he could not be conservative. He could only fight with his life. Lei Xingfeng said coldly, Very good. This is your elder ancestor. He doesn't treat you as humans at all. A 9th ring sage is being scolded as an idiot. Haha, this is F** king awesome. The group of people who were standing on the ground and watching the battle suddenly felt uncomfortable. They had not even fought for justice, but their opponents were fighting for justice. And such a strange thing happened. Mad Eagle heard Lei Xingfeng's words and could not help but laugh. A phone, what are you doing? Ha ha, Lei Xingfeng said. I just don't like the look of it. Boom. Their seals collided, and both of them were immediately pushed back by the impact. Tengu showed a satisfied expression. Using seals meant that they were no longer holding back. Once one seal was broken, the other side would win. If the seal was broken, the owner of the seal would definitely be seriously injured. Jean Dia and Dupai collided a few times, but both of them were fine. Not to mention being injured, they were not affected at all. Not only did Dupai conserve his strength, but he also deliberately held back 30% of his strength. Jean Dia did the same. In the end, they were evenly matched. It looked like an earth-shattering battle, but both of them knew that the other party had not used his strongest move. Outsiders could not see the real situation of this level of collision. Even Tengu, who was a monarch, could not see it. He thought that since both of them had the same strength, no matter how they fought, there would not be a result. Unless both of them used up all their Inli, which was almost impossible. After fighting for an hour, both of them had a tacit understanding. Dupai did not want to fight with his life on the line, while Jean Dia wanted to stall for time. Thus, they formed a tacit understanding. Both of them did not say anything and just kept fighting. Tengu frowned. After a while, he could not help but say, Dupai, get back here. Chapter 233. Dupi's body trembled. He knew in his heart that he hadn't tried his best at all. He was already feeling guilty, so when Tengu shouted at him, he was so scared that his body trembled. At this moment, Jean Dia suddenly exerted his strength. He wouldn't be polite. Although the two of them had a tacit understanding just now, it didn't mean that he wouldn't kill. This attack contained almost all of his Yin force. Boom! Dupi was sent flying. This strike had severely injured Dupi. Jean Dia flew back proudly. He said, "Idiot!" Dedupi was already lucky that he did not die when he was distracted. Tengu was so angry that he almost attacked him himself. He knew that Dedupi's failure had a lot to do with his shout. Lei Xingfeng smiled. "Uncle Jean, well done." The longer he delayed, the calmer he felt. As long as he delayed for a little longer, ancestor Wu Yang would arrive. At that time, he believed that Tengu, that old bastard, would be defeated. At this moment, he couldn't let his opponent attack again. Xianfeng spoke. "Uncle Ing, you go. Be careful. One word, drag it out." He said the word drag softly. Mad Eagle nodded. "I'll do it." He had already flown out. "Mad Eagle, 9th Ring Sage. Who wants to challenge me?" The other group was stunned. They all felt that something was amiss, but they couldn't figure out what it was. A 9th Ring's sage couldn't take it anymore and flew out. He shouted, "Virtuous record tablet. 9th Ring sage, I'll fight you." Another round of fighting broke out. Tengu frowned. He also felt that something was wrong. Like the others, he could not figure out what was wrong. He just felt that something was off. Whether it was Jean Dia, Feng Ying, or Shihu, they'd all been to many places and experienced many battles. The three of them had a lot of battle experience. This time, Feng Ying still chose to use guerrilla tactics. He didn't do it on purpose, but the opponent was very strong, much stronger than him. Even 9th Ring sages had different levels. If 9th Ring sages were divided into 3, 6, and 9 levels, Feng Ying was at most a level 3, while Delobii was at least a level 6. After all, Mad Eagle had just ascended to 9th Ring and barely stabilized his realm. He did not have Lei Xingfeng's talent, nor did he have Lei Xingfeng's cheat-like growth in the thunderstorm. He relied on Yin rings bit by bit. Of course, he was weaker than his opponent, but with his rich battle experience and knowledge, Feng Ying was able to put up a good fight. Soon, half an hour had passed. Feng Ying's forehead was covered in sweat. He'd used up too much Yinli and was running out of energy. Lei Xingfeng yelled, "Use Yin rings!" Mad Eagle immediately took out a Yin ring and quickly absorbed it. He continued to use guerrilla tactics, refusing to fight head-on. After a few minutes, the Yin ring was completely absorbed. He had completely recovered and was once again fighting his opponent. The record tablet couldn't help but curse. Using Yin rings to replenish his energy was too damn extravagant. He only had a few Yin rings left, so he couldn't bear to use them here. After fighting for almost an hour, Mad Eagle used 3 Yin rings to gradually suppress the record tablet. Tengu cursed, "The record tablet, are you stupid? He's using Yin rings. Can't you use them too? Idiot!" It wasn't that the record tablet didn't have Yin rings, but he really couldn't bear to use them. They could be used to save his life. He didn't want to use them in a battle of attrition. Even though he didn't plan on using Yin rings, the record tablet was planning on using his trump card. At that moment, he heard Lei Xingfeng whistle. Mad Eagle suddenly struck out. His body swayed slightly as he retreated. He said, "Let's call this a draw. Since you can't bear to use Yin rings, you'll still be at a disadvantage in the end." As he spoke, he retreated to Lei Xingfeng's side. Lei Xingfeng secretly gave him a thumbs up. He praised softly, "Uncle Ing, you're so smart." Mad Eagle chuckled. "That idiot. He can't even bear to use a Yin ring." In the past, he wouldn't have been willing to use Yin rings either. It was too much of a waste. Tengu was so angry that he couldn't speak. He'd been played like this. The record tablet, on the other hand, seemed to relax. He didn't want to fight someone like this. He couldn't kill him. He couldn't wear him down. His opponent was constantly replenishing his Yin rings and wasn't afraid of him at all. If this continued, his Een force would run out. If he had to use up a Een ring because of this, wouldn't he die of heartache when he returned? So when Mad Eagle retreated, he relaxed. He wasn't the one who retreated. His opponent had retreated of his own accord. He'd completed his mission. Without waiting for his opponent to react, Tiger Love rushed forward again. Ninth Ring Sage, Tiger Love. Who wants to come up? Lei Xingfeng couldn't help but laugh. This was torment. He'd stalled for time and tormented his opponent. Good, very good. Stone Knight, Ninth Ring Sage, I'll fight you. Tiger Love and the Stone Knight's battle wasn't spectacular either. Tiger Love already knew that Lei Xingfeng needed time. So when the two fought, he mostly dodged and rarely fought head-on. The two were evenly matched this time. Neither could do anything to the other. Tang Gu had already calmed down. His two beady eyes kept blinking. No one knew what he was thinking. This battle didn't last long, and the Stone Knight had retreated first. Even if Tiger Love wanted to stall for time, it was too late. Just then, the Lewin spot flashed again. Another group of people came out. This time, there were 2 Ninth Ring Sages, 1 8th Ring, and the rest were normal sages. The lowest was a 6th Ring Sage, while the highest was a 7th Ring Sage. A total of 11 people appeared. Tengu laughed loudly. It's getting more and more lively. I was wondering why you guys were so slow. Lei Xingfeng recognized one of them. Sun Buru is here. Mad Eagle said, we let him escape last time. This time, he's here to take revenge. Tiger Love said, that's normal. His brother was killed by us. It would be strange if he didn't come. Afong, we're in trouble this time. There are more and more of them. Now that there's a monarch, we can't escape. Lei Xingfeng sneered. Why should we run? Jean Dia said, we can't run. But if they want to catch us, hee, without a few 8th and 9th Ring Sages dead, it's impossible. A group of 20 people surrounded the 4 of them. Sun Buru flew out. He was good friends with Si Dano. He had always been arrogant because of Si Dano, but he didn't expect to fall in front of Lei Xingfeng. And now that he knew that his brother was killed by Lei Xingfeng, he was even more furious. So it's you. No wonder you went to Aslan. What's your relationship with Thunderstorm? Lei Xingfeng sneered. What relationship? Thunderstorm is Yi. What relationship do you think? Sun Buru said, very good. Then if I catch you, I'll catch that old bastard Thunderstorm. Lei Xingfeng was furious. Come out and fight me. Sun Buru stared at Lei Xingfeng. He suddenly laughed and said, so you're an 8th Ring Sage. No wonder you're so arrogant. Then let me send you on your way. I'll show you my strength. Lei Xingfeng walked forward slowly. Jean Dia grabbed Lei Xingfeng and said, let me. Lei Xingfeng said, Uncle Jean, trust me. He's no match for me. He was confident that he could fight a 9th Ring Sage, let alone an 8th Ring Sage. Jean Dia said, be careful. He was a little uneasy. He could not let anything happen to Lei Xingfeng. If anything happened to him, they would be in trouble. They would not be able to find a similar job in this world. Therefore, he secretly decided that if Lei Xingfeng was in danger, he would rush forward and protect him no matter what. Tang Gu didn't stop Sun Buru. In his opinion, there were more than 20 enlightened masters, and 5 of them were 9th Ring enlightened masters. They couldn't escape, no matter what. Therefore, he was happy to watch the show. Once things got out of hand, he would come and suppress them. The 4 of them were like turtles in a jar with nowhere to run. Lei Xingfeng had already decided to kill him. Although this guy was not a 9th Ring Sage, he was more dangerous than a 9th Ring Sage. Other 9th Ring Sages might not be willing to go all out, but this guy was going all out to find Yi and his sister. If he did not kill this guy, There would be trouble in the future. The two of them quickly flew into the air, and the other perfected masters also flew up, faintly forming an encirclement. The outermost one was that old fellow Tengu, a fellow who was deliberately trying to trick others. Sun Buru said, casually, "I'll let you go this time. You attack, I'll defend." He completely looked down on Lei Xingfeng. Even if Lei Xingfeng was an 8th ring sage, he still looked down on him. After all, he was about to reach 9th ring. With his current strength, he could fight a 9th ring sage. Although he might not win, he would definitely not die. Lei Xingfeng smiled and said, "Okay, since you're so humble, I'll attack this time." Although Sun Buru said it nicely, he did not dare to be careless. He immediately activated his own defense. Xian Feng acted as if nothing had happened. He had already moved the chaos wheel to his palms, clasping it tightly as if he was praying to Buddha. Sun Buru spoke. "I'm ready, come." Slash! A loud sound and a blinding silver light. Sun Buru covered his chest with one hand and his crotch with the other. His face was pale, and his lips were trembling as if he wanted to say something. Indeed, with a thunderous sound, the chaos wheel slashed at his crotch. The chaos wheel flew between Sun Buru's legs with unparalleled speed. Its sharp edge licked Sun Buru's crotch. The moment Sun Buru covered his crotch with his hands, the chaos wheel turned around and pierced through Sun Buru's back and out of his chest. All of this happened in the blink of an eye. Sun Buru's mouth gurgled. Blood flowed out from the corner of his mouth. He tried to say something, but nothing came out. He directly fell from the sky. Instant kill. The entire place was silent. Even Tengu was shocked. With a plop, Sun Buru fell to the ground. A cloud of dust rose. Lei Xingfeng said, "That's all you got." Instantly, there was an uproar. Chapter 234. Even if Tengu was a monarch, he wouldn't be able to save Sun Buru in time. He was too careless. He didn't expect that Sun Buru wouldn't even be able to block a single attack, and was instantly killed. His eyes were cold as he stared at Xian Feng. "Good, very good, a good weapon." Xian Feng felt his hairs stand on end. It was the feeling of being stared at by Tengu. His entire body felt uneasy, as if he was a normal person looking at a large snake, and the snake's eyes staring at him was a terrifying feeling. The four of them were in a defensive formation. They could not escape at all. They could only defend and stall for time. If they tried to break through, Tengu would definitely do something. As for Lei Xingfeng and the other three, they did not know if they could break through the encirclement. The two sides were in a stalemate. The people of Immortal Rock Sect did not know what to do. They knew that although there were only 4 of them, each of them was very strong. If they tried to attack, they would definitely suffer great losses. Hence, they were hesitating if they should engage in a chaotic battle. After a few minutes of stalemate, Tengu roared, "Are you all pigs? Why the F***CK, are you all stopping? Are you waiting for them to surrender? Will they surrender? Idiots, you don't attack when you should, but when you shouldn't, you go and seek death. Idiots, a bunch of idiots." He deserved to be F***king killed. The 20 people heard him, and their faces turned red. Dupi, Shirchi, Delube, and the other 9th ring sages shouted at the same time, "Attack!" They were going to gang up on them. Lei Xingfeng, Jean Daya, Tiger Love, and Mad Eagle released their seals at the same time. In an instant, for rays of light rose. At this point, they had no choice but to fight with their lives on the line. If they did not have outside help, it would be extremely difficult to break through. Lei Xingfeng shouted, "Then let's fight." The 20 people gathered, and Tengu made his move secretly. Although he did not attack, he trapped the 4 of them in the air. They could not move and could only take the attacks of the 20 people. This guy was definitely sinister. Jean Dia said, "A phone, get ready to escape. We will stop them." Lei Xingfeng said, "We can't escape. We've been tricked by that old man." Jean Dia's expression changed greatly. He immediately realized that something was wrong. It was as if there was an invisible barrier that made him feel as if he was stuck in mud and couldn't move. He said, "That old bastard. Shameless thing." Mad Eagle said, "They're here. Get ready." Boom. 20 attacks came at the same time. Lei Xingfeng and the other seals exploded with a dazzling light. With a loud bang, the 4 of them simultaneously spat out a mouthful of blood. After this attack, Lei Xingfeng was very clear that they wouldn't be able to withstand more than a few attacks. If they were to receive a few more attacks, they would all die here. Jean Dia said with blood dripping from the corner of his mouth. "Strong enough." Lei Xingfeng's chest felt stuffy, and Lei Yin's body shook rapidly. He also spat out a mouthful of blood and said, "So powerful. This is the first time I've been beaten by so many people." Tiger Love didn't say anything, but his eyes were very determined. He leaned over and blocked Lei Xingfeng. Mad Eagle said, "A phone, put away Lei Yin. Just leave it to us." Lei Xingfeng laughed and said, "Do I look like someone who's afraid of death? Ha ha." The 4 of them were actually able to withstand the concentrated attacks of 20 people, which surprised the 20 people. The second attack was slightly delayed, and before the second attack came, Tang Gu couldn't help but curse, "Motherf **, a bunch of idiots. Stop after just one attack. Motherf **, are you trying to anger me to death?" Actually, the 20 people couldn't be blamed. They had gathered their strength for one attack, but they actually didn't kill the enemy. This was also very unexpected, so they temporarily paused. After being cursed by Tang Gu, each of them used all their strength and prepared to attack again. Lei Xingfeng knew that they couldn't block this time. He smiled bitterly and said, "Is everyone ready?" Jean Dia sighed and said, "I'm ready to explode my seal. I'll be the first." Mad Eagle said, "I'll be the second." Tiger Love said, "I'll be the last." "A phone, this is your only chance. Take the chance to escape." Lei Xingfeng said, "No, never." He didn't have the habit of abandoning his companions. He didn't even think about it and said, "Don't explode your seals. Block it together." Jean Dia, Tiger Love, and Mad Eagle didn't know the reason, but since Lei Xingfeng said so seriously, they didn't insist. No one wanted to die. The 20 people gathered their strength and attacked at the same time. Colorful rays of light blasted over. Lei Xingfeng shouted, "Block it!" Boom! A shocking scene appeared. The 20 perfected persons attacked at the same time. A force suddenly appeared and protected Lei Xingfeng and the others. When the opponent's power collided with this protective force, a terrifying explosion occurred. In an instant, the power was completely reflected. The 20 perfected persons who had gathered in the air were blown away like fallen leaves in a gale. Some of the perfected persons at the 6th ring level were hit by the rebounding force, and their defenses were shattered. They spat out blood and fell to the ground. Tang Gu's expression changed greatly. He shouted, "Who is it? Who interfered?" An illusory figure gradually appeared. After a few breaths, the illusory figure became clearer and clearer. It was an extremely young man with a bewitching face. Lei Xingfeng whispered, "Ancestral Master is here." Jean Dia, Mad Eagle, and Tiger Love all felt like they had survived a disaster. The attack just now had been completely blocked by the Ancestral Master. Wu Yong said indifferently, "You're the one who's blind. You can't see anything. I've been watching here for a long time, but you didn't notice anything. Why are you still shouting?" Tang Gu was on the verge of facing a great enemy. He had already sensed that something was wrong. The opponent's strength was unfathomable. Even he couldn't figure it out. He said, who are you? This is a fight between us, juniors. You. Wu Yang's figure flashed slightly, and he was already beside Lei Xingfeng. He said, this is medicine. Drink it. There were 4 small bottles of dark green medicine. Lei Xingfeng took them and stuffed them into Jin Daya's hands. He said, everyone drink it together. Thank you, ancestral master. He drank the medicine in one gulp and immediately felt his body relax. When Tang Gu heard Lei Xingfeng call him ancestral master, he knew that something was wrong. He quietly retreated. Wu Yong said indifferently, don't even think about escaping. All of you get down. An enormous pressure suddenly appeared, not to mention the 20 perfected persons falling down like dumplings. Even Tang Gu, a perfected cultivator, couldn't withstand it. His body fell down. However, he was still a perfected cultivator. When he was about to hit the ground, he adjusted himself and didn't fall. The other perfected persons fell very miserably. All of them had broken arms and legs. They couldn't even activate their defenses. Wu Yong brought Lei Xingfeng and the other 3 down slowly. He said, Afeng, not bad. Even in the most dangerous moment, you didn't want to leave your companions behind. This is very good. However, I don't agree. Lei Xingfeng said, Ancestral Master, I understand. I'm just betting. Wu Yong asked curiously, what are you betting on? Lei Xingfeng said with a smile, I'm betting that Ancestral Master will come in time. Wu Yong said, if I don't come in time, won't you be finished? Lei Xingfeng said, Ancestral Master, you also know that my luck has always been very good. Wu Yong was speechless. However, when he thought about it, this child's luck was really heaven-defying. He said, yes, your luck is really good. If I had known, I wouldn't have made a move and let you guys take the last hit. He. Lei Xingfeng said, Ancestral Master, if we really take the last hit, we'll be in trouble. We actually don't have much strength left to resist. Wu Yong slowly walked in front of Tang Gu. He sneered and said, how did you torture my grand disciple? I watched from the beginning to the end. If I were to call you despicable and shameless, I would be praising you. You're just a scoundrel with no grace, no tolerance, no sense of shame, and no bottom line. Although Tang Gu was apprehensive of Wu Yang's enormous strength, he wasn't very afraid. He felt that even if he couldn't beat Wu Yang, escaping shouldn't be a problem. He stomped his feet and said, I didn't interfere in the fight between the younger generation. I was just watching from the side. I didn't break the rules. Wu Yang said, you didn't make a move? If you didn't make a move, would they have taken the combined attack of 20 people head-on? They wouldn't people? Tang Gu directly said shamelessly, how would I know why they took the hit head-on? Crack! Tang Gu covered his face. He was completely stunned. He actually didn't know how the other party had slapped him twice. The 20 perfected masters were also scared, silly. They couldn't believe their eyes. Their patriarch had actually been slapped twice by the other party. This was too shocking. Their patriarch was a perfected master. Wu Yang rubbed his hands and said, your mouth is too smelly. Lei Xingfeng burst out laughing. The patriarch was too awesome. He even hit a perfected master. Moreover, he hit him so happily. Tang Gu howled and suddenly pounced on Wu Yang. He shouted, I'm going to kill you. Boom. Tang Gu was cleanly kicked into the air by Wu Yang. Wu Yang said indifferently, you're not qualified to fight with me. His figure flashed and he appeared in the air. He stomped down and directly stomped Tang Gu down from the air. Tang Gu fell to the ground. Before he could get up, Wu Yang came to his side and punched his face. Blood splattered everywhere. Tang Gu's nose collapsed. Wu Yang then flashed to Lei Xingfeng's side and said, "A phone, it's okay. The patriarch will help you vent your anger." Tang Gu finally understood that the difference between him and Wu Yang was not just a little bit, but the difference between heaven and earth. The strength of the two could not be compared at all. He said, You, okay, I remember you." Because of his collapsed nose, his voice was muffled, and it was a little unclear. He looked flustered and exasperated. Wu Yang sneered and said, "You remember me? Very good. Then remember me carefully." This time, even Mad Eagle, Tiger Love, and Jean Dia laughed. Lei Xingfeng said, "Patriarch, this guy is evil. He's evil. He's full of evil tricks. He blocked our path twice and didn't let us go, causing us to be besieged." Chapter 235. Wu Yang said, "Yes, I know. I saw it just now. Don't worry, I'll help you." Tang Gu's face was pale. He regretted coming here. He had been beaten up this time. His reputation would be ruined if word got out. 20 perfected persons were lying on the ground. 5 of them were 9th circle perfected persons, but none of them got up. No one dared to speak. They were all lying on the ground in silence. A few of them were even trembling. Wu Yang said, "A phone, do you want to vent your anger?" Lei Xingfeng said, "Of course, but I can't beat him." Wu Yang laughed. Tang Gu was also lying on the ground. He didn't dare to get up. When he heard Wu Yang's laughter, he actually had the urge to cry. His whole body was cold. Wu Yang gave him the feeling that this person was crazy, a crazy person who was extremely powerful. Wu Yang said, "Go beat him up. Don't worry, he won't dare to move. He can't move. Go." Tang Gu immediately screamed and said, "You can't do this. You can't let the younger generation bully me." Wu Yang said indifferently, "I can." Then he said, "If you talk nonsense again, I'll kill you." Tang Gu immediately shut up. Beating and humiliating him was better than losing his life. He knew this very well, so he immediately shut up. Lei Xingfeng said, "Uncle Jean, Uncle Ling, Uncle Tiger, let's go together." If they wanted to fight, they would take the 3 bodyguards with them. The 4 of them had been bullied badly. Just now, Lei Xingfeng had never suffered such a loss in his life. So when Wu Yang said that he could vent his anger, he didn't hesitate to call the other 3 to do it together. The 4 of them swarmed up and surrounded Tang Gu, punching and kicking him. This beating caused Tang Gu's nose to be bruised and his eyes swollen. The 4 of them used their full power to beat him, but Tang Gu's strength was too high, so they couldn't hurt him. Wu Yang crossed his arms and stood at the side, watching the show. He was actually on guard. If Tang Gu dared to resist, he would not hesitate to extinguish him. The 4 of them fought until their hands and feet began to ache before they stopped. Lei Xingfeng rubbed his hands vigorously and said, "My hands are numb." Jean Dia shook his arm vigorously and said, "This person, we can't hit him. He's too sturdy." Tang Gu didn't utter a word, and his expression was extremely gloomy. He didn't dare to resist, but he hated Wu Yang to the core. He knew that he wasn't a match for Wu Yang. Now, he understood that Wu Yang might be 1 stage higher than him. Otherwise, Wu Yang wouldn't have such an overwhelming advantage. Tang Gu was also very shocked. There were very few true monarchs, let alone heaven monarchs, who were 1 stage higher. After Lei Xingfeng and the other 3 beat up Tang Gu, they lost interest. After all, there was not much meaning in beating someone who did not dare to resist. They were not sadistic people. They were just venting their anger. The 4 of them retreated to Wu Yang's side. Wu Yang said, "You vented your anger? Is that enough? If not, then continue." One had to admit that although Wu Yang was already a top-notch heaven monarch, and was one step away from becoming a Tao monarch. He didn't have the demeanor of an expert. When it was time to flip out, he would never be modest. When it was time to beat up, he would never hold back. Even if he wanted Lei Xingfeng to vent his anger, he would vent it to his heart's content. Lei Xingfeng said, "How should we deal with them?" Wu Yang said, "You do it. Kill them or bury them. You have the final say." Tang Gu was so scared that he almost wet his pants. Although he didn't do it personally, he had bullied these 4 people badly. He shouted, "Wait, wait, we didn't mean to be enemies with you." Lei Xingfeng turned around and said, "Didn't mean to be enemies? What you said is too fake. You chased after me, i.e., for so many years. Are you saying that you didn't mean to?" Tang Gu crawled up and said, "I really don't know about this. I only know that you killed Buluo and Sun Batong. That's why I came out. If you don't believe me, ask them." If he didn't fight for his life now, he would really be a fool. How could a person who could cultivate to become a true monarch be a fool? He knew that if Lei Xingfeng was determined to kill him, he wouldn't be able to escape. The other party had a heaven monarch. It was almost a death sentence for him. The others nodded desperately. Dedupi said, "Patriarch came out because Buluo was killed." Lei Xingfeng said, "It has nothing to do with Si Dano." Even if Tang Gu was related to Si Dano, he wouldn't dare to admit it. He already understood that Si Dano was Lei Xingfeng's enemy. He said, "Si Dano isn't my disciple. He's my senior brother's disciple. Why would I care about his matters?" Lei Xingfeng said, "Hand Si Dano over, and I can spare your life." Tang Gu said, I can't hand Si Dano over. He's not my disciple. Furthermore, he's not here now. He's already in the outer world." He didn't say one more thing. The reason why Si Dano wasn't here was that he was breaking through to become a true monarch. Once he succeeded, Si Dano would be like him, the patriarch of the sect. Wu Yang said, "A Feng, if you don't kill him, there will be a lot of trouble in the future." Lei Xingfeng smiled bitterly and said, "I can't kill him." He was only an 8th ring sage. Even if Tang Gu stood there and let him kill him, he wouldn't be able to break through his defense. Wu Yang said, "You don't have to kill him. I'll do it. I'm too lazy to run around. The next time you meet him, do you still have to call me over? It's very troublesome." Lei Xingfeng was instantly speechless. Tang Gu was scared out of his wits. If a heaven monarch attacked, he wouldn't even have a chance to escape. He said, I swear, I won't dare to go against him in this life. Spare me this time. Spare me." The perfected persons lying on the ground were all frightened. They all stared at their patriarch with their mouths agape. They couldn't believe their eyes and ears. A true monarch begging for mercy was a very shocking thing. Jin Daya opened his mouth and said, "Damn it, you're even more spineless than me." Lei Xingfeng was also stunned. He didn't expect Tang Gu to beg for mercy. Wu Yang was also stunned. He couldn't help but laugh and said, "Interesting. Which bastard taught you?" Tang Gu had completely thrown caution to the wind. He said shamelessly, "It's a matter of life and death. What does it matter if I ask for mercy?" He sounded quite confident. Wu Yang and Lei Xingfeng had different considerations. He didn't want to spare Tang Gu at all. This kind of person was extremely shameless. Although he was begging for mercy now, once he turned around, he would be fiercer than anyone else. He said, "Oh, you're a true monarch. Are you stalling for time?" Tang Gu said, What time am I stalling for?" There was a trace of panic on his face. Lei Xingfeng also suddenly realized, how could a true monarch not have backup? It had been so long. He must have backup. Perhaps they would arrive soon. He said, "You're cunning enough." Wu Yang wanted to make a move, but it was too late. There was a laugh and a person appeared. It was a person as young as Wu Yang. His long hair fluttered in the wind. He had thick eyebrows and big eyes. He was full of masculinity. A huge aura spread out with every movement. Lei Xingfeng couldn't see through that person's cultivation, but from Wu Yang's slight frown, he knew that this person wasn't weak. He was at least stronger than Tang Gu. That person said, "Brother Wu Yang, why are you angry with a junior? It's not worth it." Lei Xingfeng was shocked to be able to call the patriarch brother. This person's strength should be similar to Wu Yang's. Wu Yang said, "Tianque, why are you here?" Tianque said, "Tang Gu is my disciple. How can I not come? If I don't come, I'll be killed by you. Sai, I only have 2 true monarch disciples. If you kill one of them, I'll lose a lot." Wu Yang sighed and said, "Your bastard disciple almost killed my grand disciple. You still have the nerve to say that. F***CK, is it fun to bully juniors? Then I'll bully you once." Tianque smiled and said, "Brother Wu Yang, you're still so protective. Hee. All right, I'll give you an explanation. How about it?" Wu Yang crossed his arms and said, "How will you explain it to me?" Tianque smiled faintly and said, "Very simple." He suddenly pressed down with his hand. An invisible force descended from the sky, and there was a muffled sound from below. Wu Yang applauded and said, "Good, what a ruthless heart. Hee, although they're just small fries. What else can I say? I'll let it go this time. If they bully my grand disciple again, I'll beat them up." Lei Xingfeng was shocked to find that Tianque had killed all 20 true monarchs lying below with just 1 palm. Jean Dia, Mad Eagle, and Tiger Love were even more silent. This kind of patriarch of a secret sect was simply too terrifying. Killing his own people was easier than killing chickens. If they were to join a secret sect like this, it would be better to leave as soon as possible. Tianque nodded and said, "I'll let it go this time." Tang Gu didn't say anything harsh, but there was a fierce look in his eyes. This time, even if his master didn't make a move, he would kill all 20 of them. What a joke! His ugly side had been exposed. How could these people live? Wu Yang said, "Killing 2 birds with 1 stone. All right, I'll let it go this time. Take care of your disciple." The so-called killing 2 birds with 1 stone was to appease Wu Yang's anger and eliminate the rumors of Tang Gu begging for mercy. This was something Wu Yang understood very well. Lei Xingfeng said, "Senior, please stop chasing after me. Aye." Tianque said, "That's a matter between you juniors. Settle it yourselves. I won't care about such trivial matters. Goodbye." He grabbed Tang Gu's collar and instantly disappeared without a trace. Lei Xingfeng was so angry that his face turned green. He cursed, "That shameless old bastard." Tang Gu's vision blurred. His surroundings had completely changed. He said, "Master." Tianque clasped his hands behind his back and said, "Are you an idiot or an idiot? You actually dared to provoke Wu Yang's grand disciple. Don't you know that Wu Yang is a madman? Even I don't dare to provoke him. You didn't ask around before attacking. Do you think you're the best in the world? Idiot!" If Lei Xingfeng and the others were here, they would realize that the tone of this scolding was almost exactly the same as Tang Gu's. Tang Gu felt wronged and said, "Master, it was that little bastard Dano who invited me." Chapter 236. Tianque scolded, "Even his master doesn't care. Why should you care? Just let the younger generation fight. Do you care if they live or die? Why did you run out? To show off. You even shouted for mercy. There's no dignity left. You were beaten like a dead dog. Damn. Even if you want to stall for time, you don't need to use such shameless methods. You've lost all my face." Tang Gu smiled and said, "Master still loves me." His nose was flat, and he spoke in a strange tone. Tianque said, Stop being so King mushy. Go back home, let him handle C. Dano's matter. That little bastard is so troublesome. He even dared to trick his own martial uncle to be his fighter. Don't be so stupid in the future. Here's a bottle of medicine for you. Fix your nose. You can't even speak clearly. Tang Gu hung his head and said dejectedly, Okay, I'll go back. I won't care about this anymore. Tian Kwa said, You didn't have to care. Which true monarch would do it personally? Let the disciple handle the disciple's matter. If the disciple is an idiot and gets beaten to death, there's no pity. Okay, I still have things to do. You can go. Tangu said, Yes, thank you, master. Tian Kwa snorted and disappeared instantly. Tangu touched his face and scolded, That little bastard C. Dano, King. He actually tricked me. He opened the secret door and left. Wu Yang watched Tian Kwa disappear absent-mindedly, then said, Afeng, are you going to stay here or go back with me? Lei Xingfeng was hesitant. He knew that the Immortal Rock sect had suffered heavy losses this time. More than 26th ring true masters died in one go. He guessed that these people should be C. Dano's subordinates. The Immortal Rock sect should also be under his control. After this attack, the Immortal Rock sect should completely disappear. Jean Dia said, Afeng, you and Ai should have left long ago. There's no use in staying here. Let's go back and wait for an opportunity. Lei Xingfeng thought about it and nodded, That's true. Ancestral Master, let's go back. Wu Yang opened the secret door and brought the four of them back to the secret chamber. After Lei Xingfeng expressed his gratitude, he brought Jean Dia and the other two back to his home. After he returned home, he slept for 2 days straight. Although the search for Yi this time was not thrilling, it still made him feel extremely tired. Sleeping was the best way to recover. After waking up, Lei Xingfeng felt refreshed. Sitting on the bed, Lei Xingfeng narrowed his eyes and pondered. He had actually gained quite a bit from this trip. Most importantly, he had advanced to the 8th ring and was only 1 ring away from the 9th ring, the highest rank in this world. Of course, he couldn't compare to the true monarchs in the secret sects, but after reaching the 9th ring, going to the outer world would not be too dangerous. At that time, he would have to prepare the various resources and materials needed to advance to the true monarch rank. This required a huge plan and the help of many people. Lei Xingfeng decided that it was time to recruit more subordinates. There was strength in numbers. There were also great benefits in gathering materials. Even if it was a fight, having more people was better than having fewer people. Lei Xingfeng lightly rubbed his chin and pondered, Should I train elites or just accept anyone? Oh, I should do both at the same time. I should recruit a large number of people, observe and train them together. This way, I will need a sect or a few sects to be able to do it properly. This was the first time he had thought of creating a sect or directly taking over a sect. Lei Xingfeng got up and dressed. He felt that it was better to discuss with the 3 guards than to think alone. He had many guards under him, all of whom were given to him by the sect. He had been raising them all this time and did not use them much. Now, he needed to use this group of people. Coming to the living room, Lei Xingfeng called for Ashanel, his head butler, Jean Dia, Mad Eagle, and Tiger Love, the 3 guard captains. In addition, Lei Xingfeng called for Jean Depang, Shi Quan, Hong Chen, and Yen to come together. Very quickly, everyone came to the living room and sat down. Lei Xingfeng then realized that no matter if it was Jean Depang, Shi Quan, Hong Chen, or Yen, they had all advanced. Jean Depang advanced to the 2nd true ring body. Shi Quan advanced to the 4th true ring body. Hong Chen advanced to the 3rd true ring body. And even Yen advanced to the 1st true ring body. Moreover, their cultivation had already stabilized. Seeing Lei Xingfeng, Shi Quan laughed Feng, it's really hard to see you now. How come you're free this time? Lei Xingfeng laughed. I have some things to discuss with everyone. Ishanel said, if there's anything, just tell us. What's there to discuss? Lei Xingfeng said, it's simple to tell us, but I still want to discuss it with everyone, because I can't make up my mind. Jean Dia said, what is it? Lei Xingfeng said, I want to control 1 or 2 sections. It's just that I don't know where to start. Everyone was stunned. This wasn't a small goal. But after thinking about it, Lei Xingfeng's power wasn't small. He had many experts under him. Shi Quan and the others understood from living here that experts were as common as clouds. First and second rings were as common as dogs. Third and fourth rings were everywhere. Sixth and seventh ring experts were considered experts. Eighth and ninth ring experts were considered rich. In other words, only eighth and ninth ring true masters were considered important. They could accept large amounts of missions and receive large amounts of rewards. Other than the direct descendants, they were the wealthiest class. Jean Dia laughed. This should be easy. Just steal 1, and it's over. Ishanel, on the other hand, was excited. As Lei Xingfeng's butler, controlling a sect was within his scope of responsibility. He said, as long as we understand the background of those sects, as long as they don't have secret sects behind them, we can really steal them. Mad Eagle said, there's no need to steal, just bribe them. Lei Xingfeng nodded and said, then send people to find those sects with no background. And this matter will be handled by Ishanel and Shi Quan. Hong Chun and Yen will assist. Once this mission is completed, I will have rewards. Do it according to the rules. He was now rich and didn't care about rings at all. Ishanel and Shi Quan's faces were filled with joy. Hong Chun and Yen were also very excited. Only the direct descendants could accept missions directly. If they accepted a sect mission, the rewards would be relatively low and the matter wouldn't be easy to handle. Jean Depang panicked. He had 2 true ring bodies and was stronger than Yen. How could Yen receive a mission while he was left out? He called out, Feng, what mission do I have? Lei Xingfeng said, of course you have a mission. It's different from them. Jean Depang's face was filled with anticipation. What? What's my mission? Lei Xingfeng smiled. Make all kinds of rations for me. Oh, they have to be delicious, exquisite, and delicious. Also, you have to make wine for me and make all kinds of drinks. Jean Depang was dumbfounded. What mission is this? This. Lei Xingfeng smiled. What is this? This mission is very important. Jean Depang immediately deflated. Everyone laughed. He smiled bitterly. This mission, Sai, what kind of reward can there be? Lei Xingfeng said, the reward definitely won't be less than theirs. What do you think? Jean Depang suddenly came back to life. His eyes widened, full of energy. Really? When it came to eating, if he claimed to be second, no one could claim to be first. This guy was a glutton. No matter how exquisite, how delicious, no one could compare. Lei Xingfeng said, why would I lie to you? As long as you can make delicious rations, I will give you the most generous reward. You have to keep your word. Hong Chun said, Feng, do you have any plans to bring Hong Tong's power under your wing? Lei Xingfeng nodded. No problem. I mainly need disciples with better qualifications, and then we can nurture them ourselves. Shi Quan said, bringing Hong Tong under our wing shouldn't be a problem. We don't have any background there. Only Feng, Hong Tong's power is actually very small. Lei Xingfeng said, then send people to control it and use it to expand, bringing in the surrounding powers. Shi Quan said, this is very simple. As long as a few experts go, it can be done. Lei Xingfeng smiled. Ishannel, my guards can also be sent to do missions. Leaving them in the hidden space is a bit of a waste. Ishannel said, and don't worry. As long as there is a mission reward, they will be happy to do it. Jean Dia said, there is no need to find those large sections. Those large sects and powers have very complicated relationships and are not easy to control. It is better to start nurturing small sects and powers. Lei Xingfeng said, there are a lot of wandering practitioners. We can also take in some. It mainly depends on their qualifications. If they can be nurtured to 9th ring sage, then we can take them in. Of course, it also depends on their character and personality. Some practitioners, even if they have Luan and Yin rings, may not be able to nurture them to a high-level sage. Some practitioners with good qualifications only need a few Luan and Yin rings, and those with bad qualifications or average qualifications may need double or even more Luan and Yin rings to become a high-level practitioner. This kind of choice was self-evident to the hidden sects. It was no wonder that the large sects would fight for disciples with good qualifications. For disciples with good qualifications, the hidden sects always gave generous rewards. Just for this reward, the large sects would fight for it. Hong Chen said, no wonder people would sell disciples with good qualifications. So, this is the reason. He never understood why disciples with good qualifications were so popular. So, this was the reason. Lei Xingfeng said, Uncle Ling, how are the 4 children we took in at Taimeng? Mad Eagle said, are you talking about Han Jiao and the others? Lei Xingfeng said, yes, Han Jiao and the others. Oh, right, Han Jiao is of the lightning attribute. How is her cultivation going? Chapter 237. Mad Eagle said, Han Jiao is the best at cultivation. She's already a mill-wheel master, but her speed is a bit slow. A Feng, I think she can use Luan rings to speed up her cultivation. Lei Xingfeng said, she's only a mill-wheel master. Too slow. Tiger Love said, it's not slow. She's already a mill-wheel master without any assistance. Not bad. Lei Xingfeng said, let's use Luan rings. Once Luan rings were used, it meant rapid growth. The downside was that after reaching 9th ring, it would be difficult to progress any further. But if the little girl cultivated on her own, she might not be able to reach 5th ring in her lifetime. Since she wanted to increase her cultivation quickly, she might as well use Luan rings as soon as possible. Ishannel said, yes, Han Jiao's whole family lives in the secret treasure space. They're still studying. Let her use Luan rings to cultivate in the future. Later, I'll ask someone to send Luan rings over. Before Han Jiao and the others grew up, they weren't qualified to enter Lei Xingfeng's residence. Subordinates who could enter Lei Xingfeng's residence had to be at least 1st ring. This was a hard rule, unless Lei Xingfeng personally gave the order. These rules couldn't be ignored. Lei Xingfeng nodded and said, take good care of my people. Ishannel nodded and said, we don't have many people. In total, we only have 2 villages. Yes, I'm talking about the residence of family members. We might need to expand it in the future. The hidden space was quite large. Every disciple had a reserved land for their subordinates and their family members to live in. This was also to ensure the loyalty of their subordinates. In other words, these family members were hostages. If their subordinates betrayed them, their family members would be implicated. This was also the method of all the hidden sects and clans. There were no exceptions. When the tasks were assigned, the guards assigned to Lei Xingfeng were all excited. For so many years, Lei Xingfeng rarely gave out tasks. Without a task, there would be no income. Especially for the direct descendants, the guards had priority when it came to the missions given out by them. The rewards for such missions were the most generous, and generally, others wouldn't have the chance to accept them. Lei Xingfeng continued, "We don't have our own contact points in the Wanxi continent, Barbarian Gathering continent, and Hui continent. Borrowing the contact points of the secret sects is too troublesome. Ishannel, in the mission, we also need to set up an intelligence contact point. Every continent has to have one. We don't need a network, we just need information. We will get it very quickly. You will be in charge of this." Ishannel nodded. "No problem, leave it to me." Lei Xingfeng thought for a moment, then said, "Big Fatty, you will assist him in this matter. It will be a long-term mission. What do you think?" Jean Big Fatty was overjoyed. If there was a mission, there would be rewards. He needed Luan rings, and he would need them soon. Without a mission, he wouldn't be able to get these treasures. He said, "Don't worry, I will help." Ishannel nodded in agreement. He understood this method very well. There had to be two people. It wasn't appropriate for one person to monopolize the power. The series of arrangements filled the entire residence with excitement. Lei Xingfeng also gradually understood that in the secret sect, he was no longer the only one who could feed the entire family. He had to be responsible for a group of people. Some things couldn't be ignored and had to be managed. In fact, his master Gucci's secret sect was a huge force. It was extremely powerful. The most important thing was that Wu Yang lived here. With a heavenly monarch even stronger than a true monarch, this secret space was as stable as Mount Tai. No one could shake it. As a disciple of Gucci, Gucci rarely ordered his disciples around. He only provided them with a lot of help. As for how to manage it well, it was up to the disciples to comprehend it themselves. There was a big difference, but Gucci didn't care too much. Gucci had a total of 9 disciples. The number of people who were truly willing to manage and expand their forces didn't exceed 3. The rest of them only cared about their own cultivation and looking for all kinds of resources. Generally speaking, the guards assigned by the master were very useful before the disciple grew up. Once the disciple grew up, their usefulness would become smaller and smaller. Therefore, Lei Xingfeng started to give out missions and planned to recruit talented subordinates. Whether it was Ishannel, Jean Daya, or the others, they were all very excited. As the saying goes, many hands make light work. For example, if Lei Xingfeng was looking for people, if he had a large group of subordinates to ask around, it would save him a lot of effort. Furthermore, he could obtain a lot of information, unlike now where he had to run around randomly. Another thing was resources. When Lei Xingfeng was still young, he and Aya's thunderstorm discovered the ancient Luan treasure. They relied on their wits to gain some benefits. However, Sistano brought a group of subordinates and seized all the remaining treasures. He even captured Tai Long and forced him to hand over the items he received. As for Elder Thunderstorm, he had been entangled with him for more than 10 years. This was the benefit of having power. Even without Sistano showing up, he could torment his enemies until they wanted to die. Lei Xingfeng originally planned to increase his own strength and didn't think much about his own forces. He always felt that he would only be truly strong if he increased his own strength. Now, it seemed that there was a certain problem with this method. Fighting alone would never be as strong as a group. Of course, this world had its own unique characteristics. Once one cultivated to Wu Yang's level, one person could be stronger than many forces combined. But how many people could cultivate to such an abnormal level? After Lei Xingfeng gave the order, he smiled and said, "Uncle Jean, Uncle Ling, Uncle Tiger, in the future, there are some things that you will have to participate in. We have to become strong together." Jean Daya said, "Afong, we already have 3 ninth ring masters. We can train a large number of low-level disciples because in the future, we will be able to condense Luan rings ourselves. We also have a small number of Luan Yin rings. As for Yin rings, you can only get them when you become a true monarch. With Luan rings, we can recruit more low-level disciples and use Luan rings to train them quickly. Only ninth ring masters could condense Luan rings. When one reached the peak of ninth ring, they could condense a small number of Luan Yin rings. Luan rings and Luan Yin rings were the best resources to train low-level disciples. With these resources, it meant that they could train a large number of first and second ring masters. Actually, an eighth ring sage could also condense Luan rings, but condensing one's Luan rings would affect one's cultivation. The quality of the Luan rings was relatively weak. Xi and Feng wouldn't do such a thing. Outside the door, a servant reported that AI 8 had arrived. Lei Xingfeng brought Ishan Lao to greet him. AI Pa Dao said, "A Feng, Master wants you to go over." Lei Xingfeng smiled. "What does Master want me to do?" AI 8 smiled. "A Feng, your eldest senior brother is about to break through. Master wants you to go and watch." Lei Xingfeng was pleasantly surprised. Yeah. Eldest senior brother is about to break through. Okay, I'll go right away. Uncle Jean, Uncle Ing, Uncle Tiger, come with me. The rest of you can go back. Shi Quan and the others also wanted to go and watch, but they were too weak to participate. They could only dejectedly go back. Following AI 8 out the door, Jean Depang sneakily followed. He whispered, "A Feng, take me with you." "I'm really curious," Lei Xingfeng said. "Okay, follow me. Don't talk too much. Just watch." He still had the right to do so. This time, they didn't go to Wu Yang's house, nor did they go to his master Guqi's house. Instead, they went to a place Lei Xingfeng had never been before. The Great Seal Platform. It was a place specifically for breaking through to monarch. Breaking through to monarch was very troublesome. Not to mention the pitiful success rate. The materials needed were simply frightening. And this was in the hidden sect. There were great seal platforms prepared by the elders, so a large amount of materials could be saved. The Great Seal Platform was used for breaking through to monarch. The first time a Great Seal Platform was built, it required a large amount of materials. However, once it was built, it could be used repeatedly. Of course, every time it was used, a large amount of materials would be needed. This Great Seal Platform was built by Wu Yang. From this, it could be seen how important Guqi was in Wu Yang's heart. Basically, Wu Yang's successor was Guqi. This hidden sex foundation was actually Wu Yang's, but after Guqi became a monarch, it was passed on to him. Back then, Guqi had broken through on the Great Seal Platform. There were strict requirements for breaking through to monarch. Once one broke through to monarch, they would completely break away from the category of humans. It could be said to be a complete rebirth. Therefore, once one broke through to monarch, their status and identity would completely change. For example, Feng Qinzong was breaking through to monarch. Regardless of whether he succeeded or not, once he became a monarch, he would no longer be the eldest senior brother, but Guqi's junior brother. He would be able to call Wu Yang Master and Lei Xingfeng, and the others would have to call him Martial Uncle. This was a huge change in strength and identity. Of course, if he failed, then he would have nothing. Breaking through to monarch was a test of life and death. If he succeeded, then he would become a monarch. If he failed, then he would die. There were no accidents, no luck, and no way out. If he didn't succeed, then he would die. Therefore, if any ninth ring sage wanted to break through to monarch, it was a big deal. Especially in the hidden sect, it was a big deal. The direct disciples, no matter who they were, had to rush back. This was the most important and solemn moment for the hidden sect. Lei Xingfeng rushed to the platform. Those who could watch had to be at least direct disciples and ninth ring sages. Aside from direct disciples who could bring a few people to watch, other ninth ring sages would have to pay a certain amount of rings if they wanted to watch. This was also a benefit. Of course, this was limited to the ninth ring sages of the hidden sect. Lei Xingfeng was surprised to see more than 80 ninth ring sages present. There were also 8 Gucci's disciples. They all brought their capable subordinates. This was another group of people. There was also a group of friends of Wu Yang and Gucci who had come to watch. There was no lack of monarch experts among them. Wu Yang saw Lei Xingfeng and waved, "A phone, come here." Chapter 238. Lei Xingfeng came before Wu Yang and bowed with a smile. "Greetings, ancestor." Every time he saw Wu Yang, he had a strange feeling. Why was this person so beautiful? Wu Yang smiled. "Today is the day of your eldest senior brother's breakthrough. Many people are here to watch. Ha! Come and greet your elders." He didn't care about any of his other disciples, only calling Xian Feng over. One could imagine how envious and jealous he was. Xian Feng was of course happy. To be able to meet a senior expert meant that he had connections, especially a friend of a person like Wu Yang. He definitely wouldn't be a normal person. He would at least be a monarch. The 3 of them sat on the side, with a few disciples standing behind them. Xian Feng glanced over. There were 2 men and a woman, 2 old men and a young woman. This woman was extremely young, looking no more than 25 or 26 years old. Her looks were average. In terms of beauty, she couldn't even compare to Wu Yang, but she had a kind of temperament, a kind of inviolable temperament. The other 2 men were old men with white beards. One of them gave Lei Xingfeng a strong feeling that he was wretched, very wretched. Even sitting on the chair, he looked very wretched. One foot was on the front of the chair, his hands hugging his knees. The other foot was stretched out straight. His chin was on his knees, and his triangular eyes stared at Lei Xingfeng. There was also an old man who looked at Xian Feng with a smile. This man had a benevolent look, as if he was an elder. Wu Yang put his arm around Lei Xingfeng's shoulder and smiled. "Come, take a look at my grand disciple." Lei Xingfeng didn't know whether to laugh or cry. Wu Yang's appearance was very much like a peddler showing off something he was proud of. They all had disciples behind them, and they all looked at Lei Xingfeng with disdain. They could all see that Lei Xingfeng was only an 8th ring sage. What was there to brag about? They were all 9th ring sages, and no one had ever introduced him in such a tone. Wu Yang said, "This is your ancestor's aunt, Heavenly Lord Lin Bo." Lei Xingfeng was stunned. "Ancestral Marshal, Aunt, Heaven Monarch." He was absolutely stunned. After coming to this world, this woman was the 2nd Heaven Monarch. She was very frightening, and he didn't dare to neglect her. After being stunned for a moment, he immediately reacted. He hurriedly went forward and said, "Disciple Lei Xingfeng greets Ancestral Marshal Aunt." Lin Bo smiled and said, "Amazing good aptitude. Little guy, how old are you?" She could tell that Lei Xingfeng was different with just one look. Lei Xingfeng said, "Ancestral Marshal, and this disciple is almost 30 years old." In this world, cultivators under the age of 60 were considered young. This was recognized by everyone. Lin Bo's eyes flashed with surprise. She said, "What a young child. He's already an 8th ring sage. Wu Yang, your grand disciple is not bad." An 8th ring sage under the age of 30. Even if they were monarchs and lords of heaven, they were still shocked. His cultivation speed was a bit scary, and in their eyes, Lei Xingfeng's foundation was very solid. He wasn't the kind of expert who was forced to use rings. The 2 were completely different. In their eyes, There were two types of ninth ring sages, those who had the potential to become monarchs and those who didn't have the potential to become monarchs. The former were treasures, while the latter were trash. Lin Bo stared at Lei Xingfeng again, shook her head, and sighed. Good guy, lightning element. Little Gucci, you've found a treasure. Ha ha. Lei Xingfeng's scalp went numb. Master was just a little Gucci in her mouth. This woman looked so young. She was probably much older than Master, but she didn't show it on the surface. Wu Yang laughed proudly. In fact, he was also very proud. This is your Marshal Uncle, Big Bono. You can call him Marshal Uncle Polo. Big Bono was the kind-looking old man. Lei Xingfeng stepped forward and bowed. Greetings, Marshal Uncle Polo. He knew the meaning of Marshal Uncle. This person was a true monarch, not a heavenly lord. Big Bono nodded. Not bad, little guy. You can come to my house to play in the future. Only then did Wu Yang introduce the wretched old man. This is your Marshal Uncle, Lotzi. You can call him Marshal Uncle Lotzi. Lei Xingfeng thought, Lotzi? What a strange name. He didn't dare to be disrespectful. Greetings, Marshal Uncle Lotzi. Another true monarch. Lotzi picked his nose without caring about his image. Oh, little guy, to be praised by Marshal Uncle Lin Bo, you're not bad. It seems that Marshal Uncle Wu Yang's third generation has also risen. Maybe there will be two true monarchs. Let's see if little Feng Feng can succeed this time. Hee hee. Little Feng Feng? Lei Xingfeng didn't understand immediately. It took him a while to realize that Lotzi was talking about Feng Qinzong. He was secretly shocked. So, Feng Qinzong already knew so many seniors. Wu Yang said confidently, it will definitely succeed. Lei Xingfeng also knew that Feng Qinzong's chances of success were very high. Because he had the sky crystal, his chances of success increased by at least 40%. Feng Qinzong's potential wasn't bad, otherwise he wouldn't have been taken in by Gucci. So, he had at least a 20% to 30% chance of success. Adding the sky crystal to the success rate, he had a 60% to 70% chance of success. Of course, the actual advancement couldn't be calculated like this. There were other factors, such as the great stamp platform. There were good and bad ones. There were countless consumables for a good stamp platform. Without great ability, it was impossible to gather all of them. This also involved the technique of making the stamp platform. As for a poor stamp platform, who knew what kind of materials would be used? If one dared to use this kind of stamp platform to advance, the chances of death would be more than 99%. There was also the preparation of materials for one's advancement. One couldn't just advance with a large imprint platform. One had to add some materials to the imprint platform. If the imprint platform was a bottle, then one had to fill the bottle with liquid when advancing to true monarch. This was the function of the imprint platform. A good imprint platform was like a perfect bottle, while a bad imprint platform was like a bottle with countless holes. How could the two be compared? In addition, there were also the materials needed for advancement. This included things like sky crystals. These could increase one's strength or increase one's chances of success. These were all things that had to be prepared in advance. Therefore, when a ninth ring sage advanced to true monarch, it was a grand ceremony. Even if they didn't succeed and died, no one would look down on them. This was a display of courage and strength. Only those who had extreme confidence in themselves would choose to advance. True monarchs were the true core of hidden sects. Feng Qinzong was already sitting on top of the stamp platform. He didn't say a word and just calmed himself down. He needed to adjust his state of mind, adjust his body's condition, and reach his best state. These were all things that needed to be prepared before the advancement. Just when Wu Yang said that Feng Qinzong would definitely succeed, other people's expressions didn't agree. But no one would refute Wu Yang. They all smiled and nodded. No one was that stupid. Refuting Wu Yong at this time was simply asking for a scolding. Many people secretly cursed. If advancing to true monarch was so easy, then this world would be filled with true monarchs. La Zi grimaced. Not easy, not easy. Little Feng Feng's courage is commendable. Lei Xingfeng always felt that this wretched guy's words were sarcastic. But he was a junior and didn't dare to speak carelessly here. He would get beaten up. No one knew that Feng Qinzong had sky crystals. Of course, they didn't know that Feng Qinzong had high hopes of advancing, so they were all discussing whether or not Feng Qinzong could succeed. Gucci came over. Master, ha, Marshal Uncle Linbo, Brother Biolo, Brother Lazi, please sit. I'll take a phone. Wu Yang said, you take a phone over. Gucci then took Lei Xingfeng away. When they came to the other side, Lei Xingfeng asked, Master, what's wrong? Gucci smiled. You haven't met some senior brothers and sisters yet. Go and get to know them. Lei Xingfeng said, they're all back. Gucci said, of course. Since eldest senior brother has advanced, they must come back to see him. Success aside, if he fails, it will be the last time they see him. This sentence immediately revealed the terror of advancing to monarch rank. This group of people were all Gucci's disciples. Aside from Feng Qinzong, the others were all there. They were also accompanied by guards, so it was a large group. Lei Xingfeng followed into the group. Gucci clapped. All right, everyone pay attention. Let me introduce my last disciple, a Feng. Introduce him yourself. Lei Xingfeng nodded. Yes, he said. Senior brothers and sisters, this little brother is Lei Xingfeng, 8th Ring Sage. Ha! I haven't been in the sect for long, so I haven't met some of you yet. From now on, we'll be family, so please take care of me. A burly man with bulging muscles stood out. He was over 2 meters tall, with big hands and feet, a round waist and thick shoulders, and a square head and big ears. This big guy took a few steps to Lei Xingfeng and laughed. Ha ha, so this is youngest junior brother? His 2 hands were like pliers, pinching Lei Xingfeng's shoulders. Lei Xingfeng felt a sharp pain. He couldn't help but release 2 arcs of electricity. With a crackling sound, the man's hands jumped away. He said, lightning. Damn, my hands are numb. Tanya laughed and scolded, Yuko, you bastard. How can you meet your junior brother like this? Yuko seemed to be very afraid of Tanya. He rubbed his head and laughed. Master's wife, I just want to meet you. Second senior brother Yuko, 9th Ring Sage, was already at the peak of 9th Ring. He was just 1 step away from advancing. Like Xi and Jiaoluan, he was searching everywhere for materials and resources to advance. So in the past 10 years, he had been running around and exploring the outside world. Lei Xingfeng smiled. Hello, second senior brother. Please take care of me in the future. Chapter 239. Yuko patted his chest with a smile. Don't worry, junior brother. If there's anything, come find me. If anyone dares to mess with you, I'll deal with them. Lei Xingfeng was starting to like this big guy. He knew that Yuko was a very straightforward person. Thank you, second senior brother. Yuko laughed heartily. Tanya shook her head helplessly. Yuko's cultivation was extremely high because of his simple and straightforward nature. His cultivation speed was extremely fast. However, after reaching the peak of 9th Ring, the next step was too difficult. There was almost no hope of success. There were very few people in the world who relied on their own potential to advance, and Yuko was definitely not one of them. If Feng Qinzong didn't obtain the sky crystal, Wuyang and Gucci wouldn't have let him advance. That was no different from seeking death. It also required a huge amount of materials. No one would do something so stupid. Lei Xingfeng was very familiar with third senior brother Xian Zhaoluan. Fourth senior sister Qi Meiyan also knew him, but it was the first time they met fifth senior brother Bai Tianming. This person's talent was very good. Like Lei Xingfeng, he was also an eighth ring sage. Bai Tianming was a very handsome middle-aged man. From his appearance, you would never believe that he was already 70 years old. However, in this world, an eighth ring sage in his 70s was definitely a young man. As for Lei Xingfeng, who was a monstrous genius who mastered the art of breaking through during a storm, he naturally didn't count. Lei Xingfeng felt that Bai Tianming was a very gentle person. From his appearance, he should be quite easygoing. The result surprised him. Bai Tianming only said coldly, "Bai Tianming, eighth ring sage." Then he didn't say anything else. Tanya said, angrily, "Old five, can't you be a little more friendly? You're always so cold. Will you die if you say a few more words?" Bai Tianming smiled bitterly. I don't know what to say. Lei Xingfeng suddenly understood. This guy probably didn't meet many people. He was the type of person who stayed at home. Master's wife, it's fine. Sixth senior sister, Yin Yao, eighth senior sister, Miao Ling, Xian Feng, recognized them all. Only the seventh senior brother, Tung Yuan, was left. Seeing Tung Yuan, Xian Feng froze. This fellow was comparable to Jean Depang. He was also extremely fat, standing there like a mountain, due to his large body. His head seemed small. His originally large eyes were squeezed into two slits by the fat on his face. He had a large nose, thick lips, and a mouth full of fine teeth. Tung Yuan smiled. "I'm your seventh senior brother. Sorry, I'm only a fifth ring sage." Tanya was so angry that she slapped him. "Can't you not say it? You glutton! When people cultivate, you hide and eat. When people eat, you eat too. Forget it. I'm too lazy to talk to you." Look, ninth junior brother. He just entered the sect, and he's already an eighth ring sage. How many years have you been in the sect? Tung Yuan wasn't angry. He smiled. "Master's wife, don't be angry. I was born a glutton. He, master's wife, it's not worth it to be angry over this. If you're angry, then this disciple will have sinned. Master's wife, don't be angry." He spoke as if he was coaxing a child. Lei Xingfeng was stunned. He couldn't help but laugh. This Tung Yuan was too funny. It could be seen that Tang yet truly cared for these disciples. She would often nag them, but no one would feel annoyed. These disciples were more obedient to their master's wife than to their master. Tanya said angrily, "I'm too lazy to be angry with you. If I was angry, I would have been angered to death by you." Tung Yuan smiled like a Maitreya Buddha. Yes, even if you anger me to death, you can't anger master's wife." Gucci said, "All right, Tung Yuan, stop flattering. Take care of little junior brother in the future." Tung Yuan said, No problem. Little junior brother, if you want to eat anything in the future, just come to me." Gucci couldn't help but shake his head. He said, "You glutton." Tung Yuan explained, Master's wife, it's not that I don't want to take care of little junior brother. You see, he's only been in the sect for a short while, but he's already advanced to the eighth ring sage body. He's much more powerful than me. What can I take care of? Maybe it's still little junior brother who can take care of me. I'm not good at other things, but when it comes to eating, that's my specialty. What's good and what's not? Little junior brother, I know a few outer worlds with a lot of delicious specialties." Before he could finish his words, he was slapped on the head by Gucci. Gucci said, "You're not allowed to disturb little junior brother's cultivation. It's fine if you eat by yourself, but if you drag others into it, I'll beat you up." Tung Yuan covered his head, and said aggrievedly, "Master, why did you hit me?" Tanya said, "Why did you hit him? The child is not good. You can just say it, but don't hit him." Gucci was so angry that he turned around and walked away. "You can spoil him all you want," Tung Yuan said with a bitter face. Master is angry." Tanya said, "Is it not enough for your master to be angry? If you cultivate more and eat less, your master will be happy. You understand?" Tung Yuan said, "Yes, I understand. Ma, the bocce soup I sent last time, was it delicious? Ma, let me tell you, this is a beauty soup. Your skin will be very good after drinking it. It's true, I'm not lying to you." As he spoke, his saliva sprayed far away. Lei Xingfen was secretly amused. There were only 8 senior brothers and senior sisters, and there were all kinds of people. He did not expect 7th senior brother to be so obsessed with food. He was definitely a standard foodie. With a cultivator's huge appetite, it was really difficult to be as fat as Tung Yuan. The digestive system of cultivators was definitely extremely strong. Under such circumstances, he still could not consume the food he ate. It was estimated that this person was eating most of the day. Sure enough, after coaxing Tanya, this guy had already started stuffing food into his mouth. Crunch, crunch, crunch. He didn't know what he was eating, but from the look of enjoyment on his face, he knew that it should be delicious. A big fat hand reached over, and Tung Yuan said, "Try it." There were a few black things, only the size of walnuts, and he did not know what they were. Looking at Tung Yuan's painful expression, Lei Xingfeng instinctively wanted to refuse, but Tung Yuan firmly reached out and said, "Try it." Lei Xingfeng reached out and took the smallest piece, put it into his mouth, and gently bit it. Suddenly, a fragrance spread in his mouth. Lei Xingfeng's eyes suddenly lit up. It was delicious. Crispy and salty, it was actually some kind of fruit. He did not know how Tung Yuan processed it, but it was incomparably delicious. Lei Xingfeng did not hesitate to take the rest from Tung Yuan's hand, and asked, "7th senior brother, what is this? Why is it so delicious?" Tung Yuan was instantly happy. Someone appreciated the snacks he made, and he was very proud. He said, "This is what I told you. It's a fruit from the outside world, and after my secret recipe, it's definitely a top-notch snack." Miao Ling walked over, stretched out her small hand, and said, "Mine." Tung Yuan's face immediately turned bitter, and said, "Junior sister, I don't have much this time, just a small bag. I really can't have more unless I go to the 1,000-fruit ridge again, but, it costs a lot of rings. I'm a poor man now, so I can't go." As he spoke, he took out a small bag of fruits and handed it to Miao Ling. Miao Ling giggled. "That's more like it. 7th senior brother's food is the best." As long as someone praised him, Tung Yuan would be very happy. His pained expression would disappear, and he would be beaming with joy. Tanya said, "All right, everyone line up. Go up and say a few words to eldest senior brother, and then wait for him to ascend." This was the rule of the hidden sect. Ascending to monarch was the difference between life and death. So every disciple had to go up and say goodbye. If he succeeded, then Feng Qinzong would become an elder. If he failed, then this eldest senior brother would be lost forever. So this ceremony had to be held. Wu Yang did not go up. Gucci and Tang, you first went up to the stamp table and whispered a few words. Gucci gently patted Feng Qinzong's shoulder, and the two came down. 2nd senior brother, Yuko strode up to the stamp table and said, "Senior brother, take care. I believe you will ascend. I hope I can call you junior uncle." Feng Qinzong smiled and said, "You will definitely call me junior uncle." Yuko nodded, turned around, and walked away without any hesitation. The other disciples went up one by one, and they all said a few words of encouragement. In the end, Lei Xingfeng went up. He was the youngest disciple, and also the one who contributed to Feng Qinzong's ascension. Feng Qinzong always thought that if it wasn't for Lei Xingfeng going to the great stone fields, he would never have gotten the sky crystal. Lei Xingfeng stood in front of Feng Qinzong and said, "Eldest senior brother, I will go up to the stamp very soon. At that time, you will still be my senior brother." Feng Qinzong nodded solemnly and said, "If it was someone else, I might not believe it, but since it's youngest junior brother, I believe it." He really believed that Lei Xingfeng could ascend to monarch. With such good luck, if he still couldn't ascend, then it really couldn't be justified. Lei Xingfeng walked down the stamp table, and Wu Yong went up. He said, "Thank you all for coming to watch the ceremony. This time, Feng Qinzong's grand disciple has ascended to monarch, and I will give everyone a chance to observe the process of ascension up close. This will be very beneficial for everyone. Remember, when Feng Qinzong is ascending, no one is allowed to make any noise, move, or get within 100 meters of the stamp table. If you don't want to watch, then please leave quietly." Wu Yong walked down the stamp table and sat down in the middle. The four sides of the stamp table were each guarded by a monarch or higher expert, including Lord of Heaven Linbo, Lord of Heaven De Bono, Lord of Heaven Lazi, Lord of Heaven Gucci, and others. No one dared to mess around here. Of course, those who could come here, besides those from the secret sects, were the disciples of the super experts. Chapter 240. The platform's appearance was very strange. Lei Xingfeng felt that it looked like a theater from his previous world. There were 9 pillars on the platform. He didn't know what kind of metal these pillars were made of, but they were covered in strange patterns. The platform itself was rectangular with a slight depression in the middle. At the bottom were a few silver circles, and Feng Qinzong was sitting in one of the circles. The platform was about 2 meters tall, and the pillars were 10 meters tall. Whether it was the platform or the pillars, there were countless grooves with yin rings embedded in them. Lei Xingfeng estimated that at least 10,000 yin rings wouldn't be enough. Just this amount of yin rings wasn't something a normal 9th ring sage could afford. Feng Qinzong had saved up for most of his life. Of course, his master and ancestor had sponsored some, or it wouldn't have been enough. Actually, Xian Feng didn't know that inside the stamp platform, there were many places that needed to be inlaid with yin rings. In other words, the number of yin rings needed to be inlaid wasn't the 10,000 he guessed, but more than 20,000. This was the true driving force of the stamp platform. Wu Yong sat about 10 meters away from the great stamp platform. He even called Xian Feng over to explain the great stamp platform to him, as well as some knowledge about becoming a monarch. The platform is the best way to advance to monarch. It starts from the outside and goes from the inside. With the help of the platform, the possibility of advancing can be increased by 10 to 20%. Back then, this great seal platform was built using countless materials and my blood, sweat, and tears. Your master successfully advanced on it. Lei Xingfeng asked curiously, "Did master use a sky crystal when he advanced?" Wu Yong smiled. How could there be a sky crystal? Advancing to monarch requires 3 parts strength, 3 parts preparation, 3 parts potential, and 1 part luck. Your master's potential is very good, and his luck isn't bad either. Plus, this platform is outstanding. That's why he advanced. Lei Xingfeng said, "The chances of eldest senior brother advancing this time should be very high. The sky crystal can increase the chances of advancement by 40%. Wu Yong shook his head slightly and said, "That's not how it is calculated. Little fellow, while sky crystals can increase the chances of advancement, there are actually some medicines that can achieve a similar effect. The main problem with advancement is not external, but internal. If you don't have enough potential, even if you obtain sky crystals, there will still be problems in the end." Lei Xingfeng said, "Don't we still have Saint Crystals? Saint Crystals can increase the success rate by 60%. As long as you're a peak 9th ring sage, you'll be able to advance. Anyone would take a gamble on a success rate of more than 50%. Wu Yang said, "Little guy, your thinking is too simple. If that's the case, then this world would be filled with true monarchs." Lei Xingfeng said, "Can it be?" Wu Yang said, "Firstly, Saint Crystals are just a legend. No one has obtained it yet. It's probably just a record passed down from ancient times. Secondly, even if you have Saint Crystals, even if you have a 60% success rate, those who used Luan rings, Luan Yin rings, and Yin rings to advance to 9th ring have no way of advancing to Monarch. No matter how many resources you have, no matter how many Saint Crystals you have, it's useless." Lei Xingfeng couldn't help but smile bitterly. When he got the Saint Crystals, he wanted to give Mad Eagle, Tiger Love, Jean Daya, and the others a chance to advance to Monarch. He didn't expect the founder to directly deny it. He said, "Is it because the foundation isn't stable?" Wu Yang said, "When they use Luan rings, Luan Yin rings, and Yin rings to advance, they've completely lost the possibility of advancing to Monarch. Look, your senior brothers and sisters aren't allowed to use Yin rings when they cultivate. Once they use them, advancing to 9th ring is like playing around. But if they do that, they'll lose the possibility of advancing to Monarch. Your master will definitely go crazy." Lei Xingfeng said, "Eldest senior brother is making a move." Wu Yang said, "No rush. He's still adjusting. In a while, I'll make a move. You see what it means to move from the outside to the inside." Lei Xingfeng nodded and didn't say anything. He stared at the stamp platform. Feng Qinzong's entire body was emitting a faint golden light. He was a cultivator of the metal element, completely different from Lei Xingfeng. His entire body was shining with a golden light. This was a sign that he was using his power to the extreme. Wu Yang said, "He'll need to adjust for at least 10 minutes. This kid's not bad. His potential is decent. If he didn't find the sky crystal, advancing to Monarch would be a bit difficult. But now, if there are no accidents, his chances of advancing are quite high." The surroundings were silent. Everyone was staring at the stamp platform. This kind of observation was very important to the disciples of the secret sections. They could get a lot of inspiration from it. Seeing a 9th ring true body advance to true Monarch was very beneficial to their own advancement. Gucci came to Wu Yang's side. He said, "Master, it's about time, right?" Wu Yang said, "Wait a little longer. It'll only take a few more minutes." Gucci nodded and didn't say anything else. Lei Xingfeng suddenly realized that his master seemed very nervous. The stamp platform didn't change much. Feng Qinzong had already closed his eyes. His body was undergoing earth-shattering changes. Gradually, he began to tremble. He couldn't advance just by relying on his own power. Wu Yang stood up. "It's done." Wu Yang's body flickered. He landed beside the stamp platform and slapped it. Boom! The stamp platform emitted a dazzling light, especially the 9 pillars. The stamp rings began to flash. In an instant, countless rays of light shot toward Feng Qinzong. A huge amount of energy rolled around the stamp platform and gradually gathered on Feng Qinzong's body. Lei Xingfeng could clearly feel this unparalleled energy from 10 meters away. He heard Feng Qinzong shout, and his golden stamp flew out. The huge amount of energy seemed to have found an outlet and began to crazily pour into the golden stamp. In fact, the golden stamp was just a medium, a transfer station. As the energy poured into the golden stamp, it quickly expanded. Lei Xingfeng used Lei Yin's cultivation experience. He was surprised to find that this method of converting external energy into his own energy was very similar to his own cultivation in a thunderstorm. He used Lei Yin to quickly transfer the energy from the natural lightning into his own body. Then, his cultivation skyrocketed. Feng Qinzong seemed to be very uncomfortable with this kind of energy infusion. His body kept trembling. Lei Xingfeng was very worried. Wu Yang retreated at this time. He saw Lei Xingfeng's anxious eyes and said, "Don't worry. The little guy needs some time to adapt. Such a huge amount of energy conversion can't be too fast. It'll be fine. So far, everything is fine." Ow. Feng Qinzong suddenly let out a series of roars, trying to reduce the pain caused by the huge amount of energy infusion. The golden stamp floated above the stamp platform. As the huge amount of energy poured in, the entire golden stamp expanded. Gradually, the golden stamp covered the entire platform. Feng Qinzong couldn't even control the golden stamp, let alone retrieve it. The golden stamp suddenly fell. Boom! As the golden seal fell, the 9 pillars immediately blocked the falling golden seal. An even greater amount of energy shot directly from the pillars into the golden seal. Lei Xingfeng whispered, "So this is how the 9 pillars are used." It was unexpected that they were used to stop the stamp. He knew that the golden stamp was a projection of the golden stamp inside his body, but it was the first time Lei Xingfeng had seen such a golden stamp. This golden stamp was also ring-shaped. It was different from the stamps in Lei Xingfeng's previous life. The two had nothing to do with each other. The stamp here was something that gathered energy and reflected one's attributes. Every 6th ring sage could have their own stamp. The stamp would grow with the owner until the 9th ring sage body. Only then would the stamp in the body reach perfection and be able to collect and control a huge amount of energy. The golden stamp seemed to be breathing. It grew and shrank almost at the same rhythm as the owner's breathing. Feng Qinzong's body expanded as if he was being blown. His face was red, and his body also changed with the golden stamp. Lei Xingfeng whispered, "How terrifying! How strong does the body have to be to withstand this kind of energy infusion?" Wu Yang had already retreated. He stood in front of the chair and stared at Feng Qinzong. A trace of melancholy flashed through his eyes. Everyone held their breath and stared at Feng Qinzong. Everyone's hearts were pounding. This kind of advancement was terrifying, frightening, and dangerous. Wu Yang said, "This is only the first step. Feng, you should know by now how difficult it is to advance to monarch. Countless people have fallen at this first step, and their bodies have exploded. Everyone who has advanced to monarch is an amazing person. Compared to this, the advancement of a sage was incomparable. For example, advancing from 5th ring to 6th ring was a big hurdle. Many people were stopped at this step. But compared to advancing to monarch, it was like one was crossing a threshold, while the other was climbing a peak. The two couldn't be mentioned in the same breath. After about an hour, the golden stamp finally stabilized. Feng Qinzong was no longer fluctuating. He seemed to have returned to normal. Wu Yang sighed. It wasn't easy. He finally passed the first test. Gucci said, "It's already not bad. Now it's up to him to collect the golden stamp." Lei Xingfeng thought, collect the golden stamp? It shouldn't be difficult. In the thunderstorm, collecting Lei Yin was a breeze. There was no difficulty at all. Would the golden stamp be different? The golden stamp was shrinking little by little. The original golden stamp had expanded to the size of the stamp table. 9 pillars supported it. Gradually, the golden stamp shrunk to the size of 7 pillars. Lei Xingfeng could clearly see the sweat on Feng Qinzong's forehead. As soon as it appeared, it evaporated. Soon, the golden stamp shrunk to the size of 3 pillars. Feng Qinzong seemed to have reached his limit. His whole body was shaking violently. Wu Yang shook his head. "It's still not enough." Sigh. Gucci's face showed a trace of fear. Master, please help. Chapter 241. Wuyang nodded. Don't worry. If he can't handle it, I'll step in. You know that it's not necessarily good for him if I help him. If he can hold on, the effect will be the best. Gucci said, I'm afraid the child can't handle it. Lei Xingfeng knew that his master was panicking out of concern. Wuyang was much calmer. Wuyang said, You have to believe in your disciple. The golden stamp shrunk again. When it exploded with a blinding light, it suddenly disappeared. Feng Qinzong had already sat down cross-legged. His body glowed with golden light. Wuyang smiled. Very good. He passed the second test. As the golden light flowed, Lei Xingfeng found that Feng Qinzong's body became a bit transparent. It was a very strange change. Wuyang appeared in front of the stamp platform again. This time, he slapped the platform again. Countless rays of light shot onto Feng Qinzong's body. Lei Xingfeng was speechless. How much energy was needed? Every ray of light contained a terrifying amount of energy. They directly penetrated Feng Qinzong's body. The yin ring on the platform was quickly consumed. Crisp, cracking sounds could be heard from time to time. That was the sound of the yin ring falling off after its energy was exhausted. A ripple spread out, followed by another. Lei Xingfeng hurriedly retreated. This kind of ripple had an invisible pushing force. Although it wouldn't hurt, it could make you lose your footing. Other than the monarchs, everyone else retreated about 200 meters. They were all forced back by the ripple. Lei Xingfeng was secretly shocked. This kind of power was so strong that it was impossible to resist. He looked at Wuyang and Gucci with envy. They weren't affected at all. A moment later, Wuyang slapped the platform again. Feng Qinzong sank into the platform and disappeared. Wuyang flew up and said, All right, this advancement is considered half done. There is still half that no one can see. The little guy will advance in the Great Seal platform. If you want to see the result, come back in 3 days. During this period, none of us can help him. Lei Xingfeng approached Gucci and asked, Master, is eldest senior brother all right? Gucci smiled and said, The most difficult process is over. Next, we just need to see him be reborn. It won't be a big problem. He was obviously overjoyed. Lei Xingfeng heaved a sigh of relief and said, It's really scary. Just looking at it makes me feel like it's very difficult. Gucci said, 90% of ninth ring sages who become monarchs can't pass the first 3 stages. If they can, then the success rate of the next stage will be much higher. Don't worry, your first senior brother's luck isn't that bad. Lei Xingfeng said, Yes, eldest senior brother will definitely succeed. Gucci smiled and said, I didn't have much confidence before. Looking at it now, you're going to have a junior uncle. Lei Xingfeng followed his master to the front of the other disciples. Everyone was talking among themselves. Yuko said loudly, Once senior brother Feng succeeds, I'll be the eldest senior brother. Ha! Just thinking about it makes me happy. I'll be the boss. Gucci just happened to walk over. Hearing this, he went up and slapped Yuko's head and scolded, I'm the boss. Yuko turned around and saw his master. He was instantly terrified and smiled apologetically. It's master. Yes, you're the boss. You're the boss. We're all little radishes. Gucci said, Is there a little radish head like you? Yuko rubbed his head and smiled honestly. Gucci said, Your senior brother is about to become a true monarch. Don't wander around all day. If your junior brothers and sisters all become true monarchs, will you be satisfied? Yuko smiled foolishly and said, What else can I do? If my junior brothers and sisters become true monarchs, that's a good thing. Oh, the only bad thing is I'll have another junior uncle. No, I have to be a junior uncle first. Gucci said, that's right. Prepare more materials. Don't only realize you're lacking when you're about to break through. Your eldest senior brother is very good at this. Almost all the materials were prepared by him. Master and founder only provided a few rings. Yuko said, yes, I'll go to the outer world in a few days. Master still has to help me open the secret door. As he said this, the other junior brothers and sisters looked at him. Yuko knew the reason and said, I'll bring 4 people at most. Also, you have to give me 30% of the harvest. Chi Meiyun said, second senior brother, you're too greedy. 20% at most is more like it. Yuko said, then why don't we split the rings? How about we each take half? Lei Xingfeng stared at Yuko, dumbfounded. This seemingly simple and honest man was practically a profiteer when it came to haggling. It was an eye-opener. Chi Meiyun said disdainfully, then why should I go with you? Why don't we find someone else to work with? It's all the same. Why should I split half with you? She was here to take advantage of others. If there was no profit, she wouldn't be willing to go. Xian Zhaoluan said, second senior brother, you're not as cool as eldest senior brother. His junior brothers and sisters gave him a round of beating, leaving Yuko speechless. After a while, he said, I'm not the second senior brother right now. I'm not the eldest senior brother yet. You can't use my status as eldest senior brother to ask me. Gucci said indifferently, you're already the eldest senior brother. Yuko was stunned, then realized that he was indeed the eldest senior brother. If Feng Qinzong advanced, the position of eldest senior brother would definitely be Yuko. If he failed, he would die. If Feng Qinzong died, the position of eldest senior brother would still fall to Yuko. That was why Gucci was so certain. Lei Xingfeng took the opportunity to say, eldest senior brother wants to treat us. Yuko grinned. Sure. What do you want to eat? Just say it. With Ting Yuan here, there's nothing we can't get. Lei Xingfeng said, treating isn't just about eating. Yuko immediately became nervous. He said, how do you want me to treat you? Lei Xingfeng said, invite all of our junior brothers and sisters to the outer world. This outer world needs to be decided by us. Everyone, what do you think? Immediately, everyone applauded. One had to know that a trip to the outer world required not only coordinates, but also a lot of rings to activate. This wasn't a small cost. Every trip to the outer world had to be carefully calculated. They couldn't afford to lose money. If they didn't even earn back what they had invested, they would become poorer and poorer. With 8 junior brothers and sisters, plus their guards, going to the outer world, even if each person spent 10 rings, it would cost at least 160 rings. This didn't include the rings he had to use, which added up to a little over 200. Yuko's face immediately turned bitter. He said, little junior brother, I didn't offend you. Why did you dig such a big hole for me to jump into? Gucci said, you're the eldest senior brother. It won't cost you your life to treat your junior brothers and sisters once. It's just a few rings. What's there to be reluctant about? Yuko said, Master, you know that I spend a lot of money. It wasn't easy for me to get a few rings, but I've already spent most of them. I'm a poor man, right now. I'm really, really poor. Junior brothers and sisters, you have to believe me. Lei Xingfeng laughed. I don't know if others believe you, but I don't. Xian Zhaoluan said, I don't know if others believe you, but I don't. Chi Meiyun giggled. I don't believe you either. Everyone said they didn't believe him. Gucci couldn't help but laugh. It's not easy being the eldest senior brother. In front of your junior brothers and sisters, no one believes you. What are you going to do? Yuko was a strong man, but he had a pitiful look on his face. He said, Master, Master, you have to save me. Otherwise, your disciple will really go bankrupt. Master, please take pity on your disciple. Ayaya, I only have a dozen rings. It's not enough to go to the outer world. Sai, Gucci didn't believe him at all. He said, Don't talk nonsense. You don't have rings? Do you want me to expose you? Yuko immediately deflated. He said, Ha, Master, ha, Master, look, I'm just joking. I'll treat you, okay? Junior brothers and sisters. I was just joking earlier. Ha, although this senior brother is poor, this is the truth. However, it is still possible for me to invite all of you to the outer world. As the eldest senior brother, I will take responsibility for this. Needless to say, Yuko's sincere words caused everyone to applaud. Lei Xingfeng said, loudly, This is the eldest senior brother's demeanor and bearing. Eldest senior brother is mighty. Yuko mumbled, I've realized that junior brother is the worst. Lei Xingfeng snickered. He had almost gotten used to going to the outer world for free. He had gone to the outer world a few times and had reaped great rewards for very little effort. This time, he had taken the opportunity to extort his eldest senior brother. Xian Zhaoluan said, Well, where should we go? Yuko immediately panicked. There were many differences in the outer world. The outer world was close and could be opened with a few rings. If it was a specific outer world, then it would cost too much. He really didn't think he could afford it. Yuko hurriedly said, How about going to Yilime? Xian Zhaoluan gave him a look of disdain. He said, You have the nerve to talk about Yilime? There's nothing there except for the scenery. Even here, the scenery is much better. Besides, if we go to Yilime and open the outer world, we only need to spend a few rings to send over 100 people. You have the nerve to say that. Gucci said, I think you should focus on gathering materials. Going to the Amelia Wastelands isn't a bad idea. It's not that expensive, only 12 rings per person. Yuko was like a cat whose tail had been stepped on. He immediately jumped up and said, 12 rings. Master, don't get me in trouble. Gucci spread his hands and said, I'm not forcing you. I'm just giving you a suggestion. Hee. Yuko began to resent himself. Why did he have to fight to be the eldest senior brother? Chapter 242. Lei Xingfeng asked curiously, The great wasteland of Amelia? What's so special about it? Yuko hurriedly said, Nothing special. It's just very, very far away. It takes a lot of rings to get there. It's not that interesting. Rather than going to that place, I'd rather stay in the hidden space and train. I say, a phone, don't listen to their nonsense. Tung Yuan said, That place, I heard that it produces a lot of delicious food. Other than meat, there are also a few wild fruits that are extremely delicious. Miao Ling laughed. 7th senior brother is doing it for food. Hee. Xian Zhaoluan said, The great wasteland of Amelia produces a few types of bones. Hee, they're all from ancient star beasts, but they can only be found by digging. It's said that the great wasteland of Amelia was a battleground for star beasts in ancient times. There are countless star beast bones buried there. If you're lucky enough to dig up a bone that matches your element, you'll be rich. Yuko said, That's not worth it, spending so many rings just to find a few bones. Sai, you guys can't even come up with such a stupid idea. He continued, And because it's so far away, after opening it once, it'll have to open a second time to get us back. Otherwise, we'll have to spend even more rings. It's really not worth it. Xian Zhaoluan grinned. It's not worth it for you, but it's worth it for us. Everyone laughed. Yuko said, angrily, Don't be like that, second junior brother. Didn't you advance as well? You were the third junior brother, but now you're the second junior brother. You're their second senior brother. You should treat us. Everyone applauded. It was a treat anyway. One more person meant one more helping hand. Plus, with one more person, the feeling would be different. This way, Yuko wouldn't have to push it so hard. Having someone to lose rings with him was much better than losing it alone. Xian Zhaoluan chuckled. No problem. You're the senior brother. You pay 70%, and I'll pay 30%. That shouldn't be a problem, right? Yuko didn't know that Xian Zhaoluan was now a millionaire. After going out with Lei Xingfeng a few times, he'd reaped great rewards. Not to mention the various materials, just selling materials earned him a few hundred rings. So spending a few dozen rings was nothing to him. Lei Xingfeng laughed. Ah, second senior brother is still the best. Everyone was praising Xian Zhaoluan. Xian Zhaoluan's generosity. That way, he would have a chance to be shameless. He didn't expect Xian to refuse. Xian didn't without even thinking. Xian Zhaoluan agreed, without even a thought. Gucci chuckled. Where are you going? Let me know when you've decided. Yuko said, Do you have to be like this, second brother? How could you? Fine. As the senior brother, I have the responsibility to help my junior brothers and sisters. In the blink of an eye, he was full of pride again. Xian Feng clicked his tongue in wonder. This fellow was truly interesting. Wu Yang walked over and said, Come back in 3 days. If Feng Qinzong succeeds in breaking through, there will be a celebration. You junior brothers and sisters will have to come and help. There will be a lot of people. Yuko and Xian Zhaoluan agreed. From now on, the two of them would be in charge. Gucci said, Let's all go home and rest. Only then did everyone go home. Lei Xingfeng led Jean Daya, Mad Eagle, Tiger Love, and Jean Depang out. Jean Depang said emotionally, What an eye-opener. Only now do I know how troublesome and difficult it is to break through to Monarch. Jean Daya, Mad Eagle, and Tiger Love were all silent. The three of them knew that they would never be able to reach this height in their lifetime. Originally, they still had some unrealistic hopes of breaking through to Monarch, but after witnessing Feng Qinzong's breakthrough, they lost all hope. Even if they had the potential, they didn't have the resources to use. After returning home, Lei Xingfeng began to think. After witnessing Feng Qinzong's breakthrough, he understood how many resources and materials he needed to prepare to break through. Just the rings alone required a lot of time and effort. First was the rings. Lei Xingfeng finally understood why rings were used as hard currency and could be used to trade for all materials. Not only could they be used to trade, they could also be used to break through to Monarch. This was something he didn't understand before. After calculating his rings, Lei Xingfeng suddenly felt that he was a poor man. He felt that he needed to earn more rings. Rings were formed when monarchs cultivated. They were a kind of byproduct, but they were incredibly valuable. When a monarch cultivated, they could form 2 or 3 rings at a time. If they focused on forming rings, they could even form 5 or 6 rings at a time. However, forming too many rings wasn't beneficial to the monarch's cultivation. Therefore, once one broke through to Monarch, they could print money. Although it wasn't a lot, it was hard currency that could be used to trade for many materials. Every 9th ring sage was extremely eager to break through to Monarch, but it was too difficult. It stopped most 9th ring sages. Generally speaking, if a cultivator had rings, breaking through to 9th ring sage wasn't too difficult. This was one of the reasons why there were so many 9th ring sages. Almost all of them were gathered in hidden sects. Only in hidden sects could cultivators easily obtain yin rings. Lei Xingfeng sighed. Whether it was in his past life or this one, hard currency was a necessity. He understood that he had to work harder. 3 days later, everyone returned to the platform. It was time to see the results of Feng Qinzong's breakthrough. This time, none of the disciples brought any guards. They were led by Wu Yang, Guqi, and Tanya. 8 disciples followed, and no one else was invited. Everyone was nervous. If Feng Qinzong successfully broke through, it would mean that Guqi's hidden sects would become stronger. With one more monarch, their strength would double. If he failed, it would be a huge blow to the hidden sects, as well as the disciples. Wu Yang arrived at the platform. He and Guqi began to replenish the yin rings on the platform. From Lei Xingfeng's observation, they used at least 6,000 yin rings. His eyes twitched at the sight. He now knew that this was the yin rings that his master and founder had given him in advance. After Feng Qinzong successfully broke through, he would have to slowly return them. Of course, once Feng Qinzong successfully broke through, this amount of yin rings would be nothing. This was also the benefit of having elders. If he was alone and wanted to break through, where would he find so many yin rings? Yu Ko stared at the two working on the platform. He couldn't stop muttering, "So many yin rings, so many." Thousands of yin rings. Xian Zhaoluan's eyes were also shining. No cultivator wouldn't be tempted by yin rings. Tung Yuan was also muttering, "So many yin rings. How many ingredients could we exchange for?" Sigh, what a pity. The other disciples had similar expressions. The most important thing was that the yin rings were too much of a shock. Wu Yang and Guqi, this pair of master and disciple, busied themselves for more than an hour before they finished changing all the yin rings they needed to change. The two of them checked again. They couldn't afford to be careless at this time. If an accident happened right before the end of the promotion, the two of them would really be depressed. Guqi said, "Master, it's about time." Wu Yang nodded. "All right, let's go down first. We'll see the last step." The two of them flew down from the platform. Lei Xingfeng asked, "Master, it's almost the last step. If we succeed, eldest senior brother will break through, right?" Guqi said, "Yes, this step is a bit harder. It's also the last hurdle, but we've already replaced so many yin rings, it shouldn't be too big of a problem." Xian Zhaoluan asked, "Is it time?" Wu Yang turned around. "What's the rush? When it's time, it'll naturally be done." Xian Zhaoluan bitterly smiled. He realized that the founder was a bit impatient. Perhaps he was worried about Feng Qinzong, but he was the founder. Everything was under his control, so there was a bit of pressure in his heart. Perhaps the founder was hoping too much for another monarch. Everyone's eyes were glued to the stamp platform, but they were all chatting. Lei Xingfeng said, "Master, did eldest senior brother prepare these yin rings, or did Master and the founder sponsor them?" He knew in his heart that eldest senior brother probably didn't have that many yin rings. If he didn't have at least 30 to 40,000 yin rings, he wouldn't be able to break through. Guqi said, "This isn't sponsorship. After your eldest senior brother breaks through, he'll have to pay it back." Just like that, the yin rings your founder and I have accumulated for so many years are almost used up. Breaking through to monarch requires too much resources. If it weren't for your founder, even I would find it difficult. Lei Xingfeng clicked his tongue. How many yin rings would it take to almost use up all the yin rings his master and founder had accumulated? Wu Yang said, "It's already difficult for this little guy to break through. His potential is still a bit lacking. If he didn't have the sky crystal, I wouldn't have approved of him breaking through. Using the stamp platform was a last resort. It can slightly increase the success rate of breaking through." Guqi nodded. If Feng Qinzong's potential is great, He can break through without the stamp platform. But how many cultivators with great potential are there? It's too hard to find. Wu Yang said, I heard that a Feng tested it before. He used the star python drum and hit the feather wheel. With his potential, it doesn't matter if he uses the stamp platform or not. Lei Xingfeng was shocked. I can break through without the stamp platform. Wu Yang said, it's just a guess, but using the stamp platform is safer. It's fine if you don't use it, but if you do, you'd be stupid not to use it. Gucci said, maybe when a Feng breaks through, he won't need so many Yin rings. Chapter 243. Wu Yang said, it's still early. Although the little guy's cultivation speed is extremely fast, it's still quite difficult for him to reach the peak after reaching 9th ring. He'll need some time to accumulate. Suddenly, there was a tremor, and a golden light shot out from the center of the stamp platform. Wu Yang said, here comes the final test. He slapped the stamp platform, and all the Yin rings began to emit traces of light. Gradually, the energy in the Yin rings gathered together and rushed to the center of the stamp platform. A crack appeared in the center of the stamp platform, and then a dazzling golden light appeared. After a slight tremor, the golden light weakened a little. Everyone immediately saw that the light was actually a metal ball, like an enlarged egg. Lei Xingfeng said curiously, where did this metal egg come from? Was it placed in the stamp platform beforehand? Gucci said, no, it wasn't placed in beforehand. Lei Xingfeng said, what do you mean? Wu Yang said, your eldest senior brother is a metal attribute cultivator. Lei Xingfeng's hair stood on end. Ancestor, he couldn't have secreted it himself, right? He felt a little disgusted. Wu Yang was stunned. Secreted? And it's quite vivid. That's right, it's secreted. This is good stuff. Only a few attributes can secrete a material object. Many attributes can't do this, such as the fire attribute and your lightning attribute. Lei Xingfeng asked curiously, what kind of good stuff? Wu Yang said, metal attribute cultivators. From the beginning of their cultivation, they will absorb all kinds of metal essence to form their own golden lunli, all the way to the golden seal force. When they cultivate to the 9th ring true body, a large amount of metal essence will be accumulated in their body. This is the metal that is the easiest to fuse with the human body. When they become a monarch and start to be reborn, these essences will be expelled and form a metal egg. Wu Yang smiled and said, this metal egg can be said to be a priceless treasure. In the future, half of your eldest senior brother's weapons will be made of this metal. Then Wu Yang whispered, when your eldest senior brother advances, you can ask him for some of this metal. You can use it to strengthen your chaos wheel. Lei Xingfeng immediately smiled. He nodded and said, yes, thank you for your guidance. Lei Xingfeng asked, how many other types of cultivators can condense physical objects when they advance? Wu Yang said, don't think too much about it. Those are all good things. You won't be able to get them even if you want to. For example, the wood element will have an essence of wood shell. That thing is even more magical. The earth element can do it too, but those won't be integrated with your element. The metal element is the best to integrate. On the large stamp platform, countless amounts of energy poured into the metal egg. Wu Yang adjusted it from time to time. As time passed, the Yin rings on the large stamp platform gradually dimmed. Cracking sounds could be heard as some of the Yin rings shattered and disappeared. That was a sign that the energy had been completely exhausted. The metal egg was still the same. Wu Yang and Gucci's expressions were grave. The 8 disciples stood silently. They couldn't interfere and could only watch. This level of advancement was beyond their ability to help. Gucci muttered, What the hell? Why isn't it shattering? He said, This is the last batch of rings. If it still doesn't come out, Master, you should force it open. Wu Yong smiled bitterly and said, If you force it open, it will be dangerous. Gucci said, If he can't come out himself, then he'll suffocate to death. Wu Yong said, Don't worry, we have to trust the little guy. Lei Xingfeng said, I believe that eldest senior brother's luck is good. Before the two of them could speak, they heard the clear sound of metal shattering. Crack! Wu Yong looked at Lei Xingfeng in surprise and said, A Feng was right. Gucci's face immediately broke into a smile. He patted Lei Xingfeng's shoulder and said, It's not your senior brother's luck that is good. It's yours. Lei Xingfeng couldn't help but smile bitterly. So, the credit goes to me too? I was just casually comforting him. Crack! 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 The metal egg was covered in fine cracks. Wu Yong said, This is the last batch of rings. A huge amount of energy poured into the metal egg. With a crack, the metal egg shattered, and a person lay on the ground. Qi Meiyun and the other female disciples all blushed. Feng Qinzong was naked on the ground. Everyone stared at him nervously. After a while, they saw Feng Qinzong move. Everyone cheered. This meant that Feng Qinzong didn't die, and that he had successfully advanced. Hearing the cheers, Feng Qinzong slowly propped himself up. He frowned slightly, and a robe suddenly appeared in his hand. He put it on and nodded at Wu Yong and Gucci. Only then did he sit down. With a wave of his hand, the metal shards around him were sucked into his hidden Luan space. Seeing Feng Qinzong sit up on his own, Gucci was happy. He said, It's done. Congratulations, Master. You have another disciple. Wu Yong was very happy. He nodded and said, Not bad, not bad. Our sect has grown stronger. Lei Xingfeng said, Congratulations, Founder. Congratulations, Master. Only then did the other disciples react. They all thought that Lei Xingfeng was a bootlicker, but since their junior brother had spoken, they couldn't just stand there and do nothing. One by one, they went up and congratulated their founder and master. Wu Yong said, All right, your youngest martial uncle needs at least 10 days to stabilize his cultivation. You guys can arrange shifts. One person will be on duty for a day to protect youngest martial uncle. Once he stabilizes his cultivation, we can hold the ceremony. This mission was very simple. Plus, they were in the hidden Luan space, so there was no danger. So the shift schedule was quickly arranged. Lei Xingfeng was the youngest, so he was at the back. Feng Qinzong, on the other hand, was a bit scared. This breakthrough was a bit too difficult for him. If it weren't for the sky crystal, he would have died. Even so, he almost couldn't pass. It could be said that this breakthrough was very lucky. If he had to do it again, he wasn't sure if he could succeed. After 10 days, he barely stabilized his cultivation. On this day, Wu Yong, Gucci, Tanya, and 8 other disciples set up a table under the platform to welcome Feng Qinzong down for his first meal. During this time, he hadn't eaten a single bite. He only drank some water. He was famished. Feng Qinzong walked down the platform and respectfully bowed to Wu Yong, Gucci, and Tanya. He said, Thank you, Master. Thank you, senior brother and senior sister. Wu Yong smiled. Good, good, Gucci said. Junior brother, no need to be so polite. Let's eat first. You must be starving. Tanya said, This time, Tung Yuan specially cooked for us. He made a table full of food. Hee, the little guy's cultivation is average. When it comes to food, we can't compare to him. Tung Yuan laughed. Junior uncle, try my cooking. I promise you won't be disappointed. Feng Qinzong didn't care about food. As long as he could eat his fill, he didn't care what he ate. He said, Yuan, thank you. Lei Xingfeng was very satisfied with this atmosphere. He felt that the sect was like home. There was a warm feeling. Only this kind of hidden sect had true cohesion. Everyone sat around the table. Feng Chinzong was indeed very hungry. He used his chopsticks to pick up a very thin slice of meat. After taking a bite, he felt that it wasn't enough. He put down his chopsticks and said, "Sorry, I'm going to eat." He grabbed the meat and stuffed it into his mouth. Tung Yuan's face immediately turned green. He had carefully prepared the platter with all kinds of patterns. It was really beautiful and delicious. Unfortunately, it met a guy like Feng Chinzong, who didn't know anything. It was really a waste. Feng Chinzong didn't use a spoon to drink the soup. He picked up the bowl and drank it directly. He wolfed it down. Even Wu Yong and Gucci were shocked. The other disciples just watched. No one touched the food. They just watched Feng Chinzong's performance. Lei Xingfeng secretly laughed. Teng Yuan's food was really good. Unfortunately, he met Feng Chinzong. In fact, a few big bowls of stewed meat, a few big bowls of flatbread, and a big pot of meat soup would be much better than these delicate side dishes. A table of food was swept down Feng Chinzong's stomach like a tornado. He still wasn't full. He said, "What else is there? Bring it all up." Tung Yuan was about to cry. He said, This. Lei Xingfeng smiled and took out a big piece of braised beef. He said, "Seventh senior brother, cut a plate for junior uncle." When Feng Chinzong saw the big piece of braised beef, his eyes lit up. He said, "No need to cut it. Just give it to me." For this meal, only Feng Chinzong ate enough. The others didn't eat at all. They all watched how Feng Chinzong stuffed himself. The ceremony for Feng Chinzong's ascension to monarch would be held a month later. During this month, the secret sect sent out countless experts to deliver invitations. Lei Xingfeng also received a few missions. He brought Jean Daya and the others around and delivered many invitations. They were all to the other secret sections. As for the large sects of this world, they didn't have the qualifications to come. A few days before the ceremony, Lei Xingfeng received another mission. He was outside welcoming guests. Gucci was also there. Lei Xingfeng followed his master to meet the experts of the various secret sections. This time, there were quite a few monarchs. From morning to night, groups of guests were welcomed into the secret space. Lei Xingfeng also used this opportunity to meet many experts. Among them, there were many who gave him a red envelope. The so-called red envelope was 1 or 2 yin rings. This was already very generous. Yin rings were very valuable, so Lei Xingfeng didn't refuse. If there was one, he would accept it. If there wasn't, then so be it. He wouldn't ask for it. Even so, he had inadvertently received 20 yin rings. Jean Daya said enviously, "If I could do this every day, I'd be willing to." Although he didn't get it, he understood that 20 yin rings was a huge sum of wealth. At this time, a few people descended from the sky. Lei Xingfeng only glanced at them and froze. He said, "Why are they here?" Gucci said, "You know them?" Lei Xingfeng gritted his teeth. "Of course I know them." Gucci saw that Lei Xingfeng's expression wasn't right. He said, "What's wrong? Do you have a grudge against them?" You're tuning in to the Mystic Fist YouTube channel. Don't forget to subscribe and join us on this journey to catch the most captivating stories.